Good morning. No, good evening even. There's a good start. Hey, welcome on in everyone. Lovely to see you. It's Monday. It's a new week. Aston Villa didn't lose at the weekend. Everything is looking good. How is everyone today? I hope you've all had a wonderful weekend. You've all had everything happen that you'd like. Good results, good relaxed time, and you're all ready and raring to go. January is almost over. Well, January's like 10 days away from being over, which is marvellous. We should be getting news about FM24 some point soon. Who knows when exactly that will be, but yeah, some exciting stuff on the horizon. It's lovely, by the way, to see everyone in so far. We have got, as always, the glorious, the wonderful Knight of Knee, the wonderful Jonathan Edwards over on YouTube. Thank you very much for popping in. If you are watching along on YouTube, obviously there is absolutely zero obligation whatsoever to chat, but if you fancy being brave, I'd love to hear from you. We have over on Twitch, though, we have a Holifab. Holifab is in, he's looking wonderful, doing well. DM Bassist is here. We've got a Crud mod. The glorious mod Crudmo is in this evening. We also have the wonderful Coratiba, who you may have known by a previous name up until now, but we're not going to bother mentioning it because that previous team has done bad things, and therefore we don't need to mention it whatsoever. We've got Hankin. we've got Hank. It is MLK Day, so happy MLK Day to you. Is there anything that you specifically do on MLK Day, or is it just an excuse for a public holiday? Quadmo Fan is in. Quadmo Fan is very much ruining that he's changed his name to Quadmo Fan. Welcome on in, my dude. Lovely to see you. We also have a few other people in there as well. We've got El Norby in. Welcome in, El Norby. We've got 4N71574R in as well. I hope you are both doing well indeed. So what have we got going on there? So Night of Knee is feeling a little bit under the weather. I really do hope that cold clears soon. I say you can't go wrong with honey and lemon. I say maybe just a dash of whiskey, you know, to take a little bit of the edge off. Jonathan and I have been discussing Kai Havertz as well. Jonathan says he's got a lot of great qualities, but with glaring lack of a top 8 and the need for firepower, I don't see where he fits in. But he did well out on the right wing in the Villa game. I absolutely agree with you. I like what Havertz brings to a team. I just don't want him as my main striker, right? But I mean, he scored a goal. I suppose that's something indeed. Right. So let's not head over into the save to begin with. We're back with IFK Mariehamn after a few days doing some other things as well. But the Bassist has redeemed a little mystery minigame. So let's start with that, and then we'll catch you up with what's been going on in Finland. Right, so what game are we going to go for? We're going to go for... Let's start the day nice and simple and easy. A good old-fashioned game of Guess the Player. So if you are new to these streams and you haven't been here before, I will explain how this game works. You're going to see 4 pictures from a player's profile in FM24. You're going to see the positions they play, then you'll see their attributes and traits, then their scout report, then their career history. Your job is to guess as early as possible. The earlier you guess, the more points you get. The more points you get, you end up on that lovely little scoreboard down there. Nice and simple, straightforward. One thing to be aware of though is that this is based on players in FM24 on the default database at the beginning of the game. So when it comes down to their career history, a player that moved over the summer or January, say someone like Daniel Malin, who's recently moved to Aston Villa, they will still be at Borussia Dortmund in the game. It's just that to bear in mind. Let's head on over to the very first clue here. And we have a poacher who is right-footed and definitely isn't a false 9. So Hollyfab recommends whiskey or Jägermeister to help against the cold. That's an interesting thought. I've not thought of I suppose Jägermeister is meant to be medicinal, isn't it? That's kind of the point of the herbs. RJ is in, by the way. Welcome in, RJ. Lovely to see you, my dude. As is Tales of the Tapes and Hungdom in. Lovely to see you guys. I hope you are all well. So we've got some early guesses, and the early guesses are, as always, very serious guesses. We have a guess of Harry Maguire, Tony Cottee, Dimitar Berbatov. Evan Ferguson's now coming in. We've got some proper guesses coming in here. We've got Evan Ferguson. We've got Chris Wood. We've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin, the solution to Arsenal's attack, Hungdom claims. That would be an interesting signing. Dolbik's been guessed, Rafa Mer's been guessed, Haaland's been guessed there as well. Some fine guesses there. Cameron Archer or Hugo Duro. Maybe it's a bit of Darwin Núñez. Watkins, Gyökeres, and Viva is in. Welcome in, Viva, guessing Nigel Reo-Coker. Now that would be something, isn't it? We've also got another anachronistic guest in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the brand new Besiktas manager. Could it be Nguyen Xuan Son, the Vietnamese Haaland, or Evan Nilsson? Another guess for Dobbik. Another guess for not another guess. We've got a Simon in here as well. It's none of those people. Let's move on to the next one and see that whilst the player is a 4-star poacher, their attributes look a little bit like this. So it's a player who's very good at finishing, good movement, good anticipation, good penalty taking. They're not particularly explosive or quick. They're not particularly great in the air. They're, they can't dribble. Okay first touch. Can't pass. So what do we think there? No traits whatsoever to speak of. So, Tales of the Tape says it's another late working night with IFK Mariehamn. I'm feeling all right. Marvellous. Well, not the late working night. That bit's less marvellous. And Night of News saying, so here in the Algarve, the custom is medronio, a locally made and distilled beverage. Makes you sweat it off, they say. I mean, that sounds like a possible solution, sweating it off. That is definitely one way to get all the gunk out. So maybe, if it works, it works. So 13 stones, how much is this, they ask? I honestly don't know what the conversion rate would be, but it's definitely on the heavier side for a player. So guesses that we've got coming in since then. We've got Jurassic, Patrick Schick, Michi Batshuayi, all fine guesses. We're not there at the moment yet. We've got Sheshko, another guess for Chris Wood. We've got a guess for Omega. Martin Adam. Martin Adam's a fine guess. It's not Martin Adam, but I do love that suggestion. Watkins being guessed again. Nketiah, Icardi, Jimenez, Ings, all fantastic guesses, but we're not quite there. Well, maybe not Danny Ings. He's definitely not 13 stone. He might move slowly, so you might think he's heavy. Dominic Solanke, Edison Cavani, Beto, Fulkrug, Haller, all fine guesses. Iago Aspas, if he was 6'1", if only he was 6'1". Crodmo takes issue with the suggestion that Beto's finishing could be anywhere near 16, and I think that's fair. Now, I can tell you, as we move on to the next clue, is that currently no one has really got close, and you'll see why. You'll see why, and the reason is because this is a star MLS player in his prime years. So Jay Teller's coming before we moved over the graphic there. So he'd gone for Dzeko. So Redout had gone for Musa. We have guess for Giroud. We've got Suarez. We've got another guess that came through before we changed with Delap, which is fine. So Giroud is a fine guess. It's not Oliver Giroud. It is not Suarez. Could it be Josie Altidore? A good classic American player there. It's not Altidore. It's not Jamie Moreno either. Is it Brenner? Is it Benteke? It isn't Brenner. It's not Benteke either. Is it Jordan Morris, the Seattle Sounders striker? I only learned that the other day because of Brazilian Fury's stream. It's not Jordan Morris, I'm afraid. It's not Pookie. It's not Benteke. It's not Messi, unfortunately. Wouldn't it be crazy to see like a 13 stone Messi? So Pedrek Krodmo, I can't pronounce that, so no. Stoichkov, Jordan Morris guessed again. Ponce, Sam Surridge are good guesses. We've got Gazdag, we've got Buanka, we've got Campania. I am very, very impressed with your collective knowledge of MLS players. I'm assuming it's collective knowledge of MLS players because there's a number of suggestions here that I am not even familiar with myself. Unfortunately, we're not there quite yet. Let's see if the team or the teams that they've played for will help at all. So we have an Atlanta United striker that used to play in Scotland, and before that Netherlands, before that Poland, before that in Greece. So is it Vrioni? Is it Mo Johnston? Is it Paul Wideout? Is it Acosta? Is it Jovalic? Is it Abada? Wood? Martinez? Insigne? Josef? Or is it Giacomakis? Out of those names that I've just read out, at least one of them is Greek. And this player seemed to start their career in Greece. So there's probably a very, very good chance indeed, Koratiba, that this is Yorios Giacomakis. There we go. Fabulous stuff there. Fabulous. DM basis with the applause before it's even been revealed. Fabulous, fabulous work there. I thought it would be nice to, expand our knowledge a little bit. Let's give the MLS a little bit of love, especially as for those that don't know, they've recently changed their transfer rules. So they're now going to be creating an internal transfer market, which might, in some respects, take over from the weird trading stuff and make it just a little bit more understandable for us dumb Europeans. So there we go. Maybe an MLS save will be viable in the future. Some fabulous work there from Koratiba. The applause from Quadmo and Hank and RJ and Holifab and Quadmo Fan and El Norby and Hongdamin and 4N71574R. Very, very much deserved. Right, shall we head in and let's see what we've got going on over here. So there are some chants of USA, understandably. It's a Greek man in the US, indeed. So Jay Teller points out he is now playing for Cruz Azul, indeed. And that's part of the reason why I make sure that at the beginning I stress that we are dealing with the default database in FM24. So the poor draft is what kills the MLS saves. It is a little bit tricky. Toby the Tubby Man's in. Welcome in, my dude. I'm very good. How are you? Jake Fez says, do you still need a PhD to understand the new MLS rules? Yes, because I believe that from what I've seen, there are no significant changes to all the various designated player contracts and all the permutations thereof. So you still need some kind of like advanced accounting degree at least to follow what on earth is going on. Right, so let's head on here. So where we left off on Thursday evening, the league had ended and we won. We won its back-to-back league titles, 5 points ahead of HJK. If you take a little peek over there, the form towards the end dropped off a little bit. We lost 3 of our last 4 games, but it is worth pointing out that before those last 4 games, we'd kind of wrapped up the title. So we didn't necessarily have the motivation within the playing squad to push on any further. So 5 point lead over HJK probably should have been a little bit more, but we took our foot off the gas. Nonetheless, that's 2 league titles in a row, which is rather marvellous stuff. The season, however, isn't quite over yet. We have some Champions League stuff going on. Up until now, we started off the Champions League phase with a phenomenal 3-2 win against Utrecht in the Netherlands. We went 2-0 down inside the opening 10 minutes. It looked like we were in for an absolute thumping. We probably should have been an absolute thumping, but Utrecht, like us in the league, took their foot off the gas, and a 36th minute goal from Jakub brought it back, and then Arvid Lundberg scored twice in, was it 10 minutes? It was indeed 10 minutes to give us an improbable win. Then we went and played Dynamo Zagreb in Zagreb. They took the lead. We equalised. They took the lead. We equalised. And they took the lead 3 minutes from the end, and we couldn't equalise a third time. But a fantastic performance nonetheless. Well, it's fantastic. A performance that goes beyond expectations for our stature in the competition. And that's where we left off in the Champions League phase. We now have some very easy games coming up. We've got a home game against Paris Saint-Germain, an away game against Ajax, a home game against Harken, a home game against Tottenham, an away game against Madrid, and a home game against Dortmund. So I've got a pretty good feeling that we're probably going to make it out the group stage. We should see at least, I reckon we should be good for maybe 4 or 5 wins out of those remaining 6 games. The only one I'm a little bit worried about is the Harken game, if I'm honest with you. So yeah, that's what we've got coming up. Now, Bolowingo, thank you very much for the follow. Lovely to have you in. And to ADC212, I do apologise that I missed your follow a little bit earlier. Thank you very much for dropping by. So Dim Basis says, there used to be a guy who made his own MLS, but with a better quality of player coming through the draft, and it was super fun. That sounds quite cool. Tails says it's a bit ironic that the States has a more socialist transfer policy than any place in the world. It is incredible, isn't it? Especially with the dissemination of money and the way that it's all kind of the profit sharing of some of the leagues. It's very, very, very ironic. Serie C rules might be even worse than the MLS, says Hollyfab. How come? What are the rules around Serie C? So 5 losses, boo. It's gonna be tricky, that's for sure. At least the Champions League loss versus Zagreb wasn't 8-0. I was kind of hoping it was. I wanted you to be some kind of like savant for the situation. So you sense a bit of sarcasm. What do you mean? What do you mean? Right, so let's have a look at the squad, because whilst we've still got games going on, it is the end of the season, and we're going to have player contracts expiring in just over a month's time. We kind of need to be making our transfer plans now. So in fact, let's head on over to the squad planner. We need to look through where we want to address coming up, even though we've got these games coming up. So Coritiba can't wait for FM25 so you can fix your club yourself. That's fair. I mean, if they still have the what's it called? The Your World mode. So it doesn't even have any of the transfers from before the season. That would be perfect, eh? TM Basis says American sports are all very socialist as long as you're rich enough to buy in the first place. Very true. Socialism for me and not for thee. Right, so Oscar Snore was our starting goalkeeper. 46 games, 39 goals conceded. He's doing okay sweeping up. Distribution isn't that great. Expected goals prevented, bang on 0. Well, -0, so probably just a little bit below 0.00, but not enough to be 0.01. But yeah, pretty solid. I've been content with him this season. I don't have any concerns there. Artie Marty is our backup. He didn't play enough minutes for us to really worry about that. So goalkeeper, I'm fine with. At right back, we've got Savalainen. His job is to stay deep in build, so he's not an attacking fullback. He kind of is there, more steps up and stays wide, supporting behind the play on the right flank. So what we are looking for, someone who is safe, which he is, possession lost only 6.55 times, and someone who can defend. He wins 86% of his tackles, 73% of his headers. That's all very good. I probably would prefer him to be a bit more progressive, which he isn't. That's probably my only knock, but there's not anything there that means I'm worried. If we don't have any other concerns, that might be an area we look to improve. Question is whether Oscar Holmberg is already an improvement there. He wins tackles at a lower rate, 75%, headers at a lower rate as well. He's more active in possession 1, slightly less, not as safe on the ball. Around the same amount of progressiveness. Yeah, maybe if we can, we might look at seeing if we can improve on Savalainen, and Holmberg still seems to be a reasonable backup. So Jonathan Edwards wants a little bit of Slayman. We'll look at see how Slayman's got on over in Norway in a few moments. So Hollyfab can't see the rules in Serie C as I've turned off the league in my save. Fair enough. Lukmar's in. Welcome in, Lukmar. I hope you're doing well. It's weirdly enough that the only place socialism isn't perceived as anti-American. Exactly. So Crudmo wants Real Betis to bring back Alex as well as Rafinha. I mean, if you're going to be fixing the club yourself, why not use the database editor? And yeah, why not go all the way back? Right, so centre back, we've got Patrick Wrighton as our starter. He's been okay. So again, I'm looking mainly at percentages here where I can. Tackle win rate 86%, header win rate 78%. They're both really, really good figures, which I'm happy with. Possession 1 is a little on the low side, but maybe not too much so to be a concern. More relative to the fact that we've got quite a bit of the ball. He's safe on the ball. Could be more progressive, but we're not asking him specifically to be so. So yeah, Wrighton, absolutely fine. Star player in our defence. We've got him under contract for 3 years. Really happy with him there. Queetonen is his backup. Well, Queetonen backs up both positions. His tackling and his heading is brilliant. 89%, 80%. Absolutely sensational. Around the same amount of possession 1. Just as safe, which is fine. Less progressive than Wrighton would be my only criticism there. But Queetonen actually, maybe deserves... Well, look, he's got 12 starts, 1,400 minutes. He's getting a decent amount of game time, but maybe should be in line for a little bit more. Over at left back, we have Billy Cometio, our big signing a couple of seasons back, and he has been underwhelming. 69% tackle win rate, nice. Isn't nice actually. 69% tackle win rate is awful. 73% header win rate is solid. Slightly better in the possession 1 metrics. Even less progressive than Queetonen. Less safe than both Wrighton and Queetonen. Now, we have him as a ball-playing defender on the left. So we do expect him to take more risks and lose the ball a little bit more. But I would also therefore expect a lot more progressive passes. I'd expect him to be making those medium length forward passes, and he doesn't seem to be doing that. So that might be a little bit of a concern there. Maybe that's a case of we need to change his role back again to normal central defender. But that's something to look at. Maybe Right, he's got 1 year left on his contract as well. Maybe we look to move him on. It's quite possible, in fact. Right, so let's see, what have you been saying? So, Lukmar says, I hope you're doing well. I am indeed, Lukmar. Lovely to have you in. How are you doing, my dude? DM Basis says the Series C rules are not confusing at all, and then pastes the rules, which I'm guessing are going to be very confusing. Yep, they are. I do not have the brain power to work that out. At left back, we've got Enquist and Larson. So, El Norby, Slayman regrets that he got a loan deal instead of a glorious Champions League run. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, if he's getting game time, he's probably going to be quite happy. He got a Finland cap this season whilst playing out on loan, so he seems to be. So hopefully it's good. I haven't actually looked at his stats though properly. So Daniel Enquist, a fullback on attack. His job is to defend, which he does. Tackles 1, possession 1. They're both really good. 89%, 13.76, and then to cross. He's doing a really good job in terms of creativity. That comes with possession lost. That's kind of fine. Yeah, he seems to be reasonably solid. A certain proportion of that expected assist will come from set pieces, though, just to be aware. And we bought in Max Larson. Now, Max Larson is a highly rated player in real life, apparently. So there is a consideration that he might eventually usurp Eriksson, Enquist in the starting lineup. His tackle win rate isn't as good, 81%. His expected assist is crazy. Just 420 minutes. Nice again. But yeah, much better there. He can also dribble, which Enquist can't. So he could potentially play as a more dynamic attacking threat as well. I like them as a 1-2 punch at the moment. But yeah, it might be something that we end up seeing over the course of the season that maybe Larson eventually takes over. So Kuitanen looks mad as fuck. He does indeed. Look at him with his crazy eyes. Now, are his eyes that crazy in real life? I would say yes, but my drawing probably doesn't help the fact. So Tales of the Tapes, we're talking Ange. It is there in the big question indeed. So today's big question is, does Ange survive? What could be more Spursy, arguably, than Ange getting them to the Carabao Cup final, but them sacking him the week before? So do we think that could happen potentially? Could that happen? So Boloringo says, you had Billy on loan at Dunkirk and he's good as fuck. He is indeed. He had a really good first season for us. I would put him down as being a large contributor to us winning the league for the first time. But it's not been quite so good this time. He's already one of our highest earners. We were using pounds, but because I was doing the AS Roma stuff off stream, I've converted to euros. But yeah, at 1100, he is amongst our top earners. He's probably going to want to increase on that as well if we renew his contract. So I'm not sure where we're going with him, to be fair. Heston's here. Welcome in, Heston. How you doing, my dude? Kumecho got a couple of weird defense moments. That's an understatement. That is an understatement indeed. So, to the big question, Koratiba says, I don't think so because they sacked Mourinho before Carabao Cup. Isn't that why it'd be so beautifully poetic to happen once again? Look, Mars doing okay. Little work drama currently going on. I work with children, but most of the time the adults are creating the issues. I can appreciate that. I mean, adults are arguably the thing that causes issues in every department. The kids are fine. You let them play. You let them have fun. You teach them some rules. Parents, dear God, no. Best bad player, that's Enquist, is still going strong. He is indeed. 14 assists is pretty damn nice. So DM basis reckons Ange is going to get the full season. That's fair. So Crudmo says he thinks that Lama was right. He stays till the end of the season, complains about transfers, falls out with the board, and leaves then. That's the Conte way of getting yourself sacked. Just spend as many opportunities as you can slagging off the board. Lukmar reckons that they're aware of the injury crisis and they're going to give him time until the end of the season. Fair enough. Ladislav, our massive fan, though, asked, what point does it all stop being bad luck? I think that there was a certain amount of responsibility on Ange's shoulders to adapt a little. Now, when you have a system, that doesn't mean that you can't have some flexibility within that system. After all, football is about finding solutions to problems, those problems being how you're going to unlock a defence, how you're going to stop the opposition from scoring. And at some point, Ange has surely got to think about solutions to the current problems that he's got. Right, so Sebastian Dahlstrom, our defensive midfielder, he's got 1 year left on his contract, and he's been a bit of underwhelming this season. Great in terms of ball progression. 76% tackle win rate is pretty decent for a midfielder, for a central midfielder, defensive midfielder. He's not really pressuring, he's not winning possession, he's not particularly safe on the ball, and he's only just in the 50th percentile for expected assists, so he's not greatly creative with it either. The progressive passes does kind of make up for that a little bit. But then the question comes, this is probably the time where we think about extending contracts. I'm not sure if we do. I'm really, really not sure if he sticks around. Part of that will come down to Mamadou Diane. Diane is less progressive, so Dahlstrom had about 7-something progressive passes, 6.68. Diane does dribble more, he is more creative, he's safer on the ball as well. Slightly lower tackle win rate, around the same possession one pressures. That's still an issue for both of them. The thing that saves us with Diane, however, or saves Dahlstrom, is that Diane has had a pretty rotten time with injuries. We signed him in January 2026. Before we signed him, he had a grand total of 1 week's worth of injuries. 3 days for a tight thigh, 1 day for a bruised foot, 3 days for a tight hamstring. Since we've signed him, and this is the end of his second season, he's been out for 6 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, 14 weeks, 22 weeks. He's been out for nearly half a year in the 2 years that we've signed him. Now, it does say that he's fairly susceptible to injuries, but his history prior to signing with us didn't seem to suggest it was that bad. So it might be that Dahlstrom survives for a season. It might be that we look to replace both of them this winter. Right, so Jonathan Edwards, it's just who we are, mate. Ange, probably. Exactly. He does have a very prickly character. Now, Tales of the Tape says that all the way, even if we don't get to any finals, fair enough, and you like him for his attitude. I suppose it's a lot more or a lot less prickly if you support that team. It's a bit like having Robbie Savage in your team. Like, you like having him because he winds people up and he's very combative. Everyone else hates him. But in all seriousness with Ange, he took over when Kane left, which was always going to weaken them. So it's difficult to compare him to past managers who were bailed out by Kane. Says the Arsenal fan, very, very gracious, it has to be said there. Do you get to the point, though, that, like, he's now had, this will be his 4th transfer window. So if the second half of the season, even with those injuries, they don't seem like they're going to kick on, how much ownership does he need to take of that situation? Right, so Chukwuemeka Okereke, he's our more defensive midfielder. Again, okay tackle win rate, 64% headers won is good for a defensive midfielder. Doesn't pressure, I don't want him to, he's meant to sweep up. He doesn't sweep up. He is safe on the ball though. So we can see that generally through the team, possession one isn't great. We do have more possession than average, but that does seem to be an area of concern. And then Abu Baba, who was in on loan, he wins possession back a little bit more. His tackling shit, 66% is rubbish. Headers is good, not as safe on the ball. I don't think we're going to look to try and bring Abu Baba back. So we could probably do with upgrading the entirety of our double pivot, I think, and preferably with Finnish players, because Chukwuemeka Ukereke, yeah, sure, he's Nigerian. He doesn't have Finnish nationality, but he also doesn't count. He's apparently only been in the country for 1,400 days. His whole career has been at Mariehamn, but he doesn't count as homegrown, unfortunately. So getting some Finnish players in this area will be quite handy for us in terms of our matchday rules. Right, so over on the right wing, we've got Timo Stavitsky. Sorry, I do apologise. So Libero Connoisseur, all I know is as a Spurs fans, we've had one centre-back for over a month. We've finally got a second one back from injury, so what does Ange do? Play three at the back. Well, I mean, you say you've had just one centre-back for over a month. There is an element there of choice, though, isn't there? Because Ange has decided to move Archie Gray into central defence over, say, using someone from the reserves. I think Alfie Dorrington is still at the club, isn't he? So one, what does that say about Alfie Dorrington? Is Alfie Dorrington just not going to make it? Do none of your reserve players have a chance of making it through into the senior squad? If a defensive midfielder / right back is the preferred option there. Like even Man United last season used Willy Cambrella when they had a defensive crisis. So Stavitsky, he's good. He dribbles. He creates. He doesn't score, but we know that he's there as a winger. He's meant to just dribble and create. He gets loads of assists. I'm happy with Stavitsky. So Bam Bam, you had a look at your left back options, but what do you look for in a full back or wing back? So as I've said, when I'm looking at this tactic, so Bam Bam, it's always relative to the tactic that we play. In this particular tactic, we have them as a wing back at the moment, but we normally have them as a full back on attack, and their job is to run forwards and cross the ball. That is basically it. So I did, as we were talking about it, I did talk about the metrics I was looking at specifically. I wanted Daniel Enquist to win his tackles because he's defending, and his possession one. He's good at that. I want him to create chances from crosses. So mainly for the tactic we are using, just these three. If, however, I wanted him to be a wing back like we've used with Enquist, I also want him to be able to dribble and actually beat his man potentially. If I wanted to have them on, be more involved in build-up and maybe stay a little bit deeper initially, I'd want to see more from their progressive passes. If I wanted them to invert and maybe help stay deep a lot more often, then I'd be looking at possession loss so that they're being a bit safer with the ball, and I wouldn't be as worried about expected assist. If I wanted them to invert but attack, I'd probably be looking at goals. If I wanted them to, if we're playing in, say, back five, or I wanted them to be really active in the press, I'd be looking at pressures. It all changes based on the tactic, the rest of the players in the team as well. So there isn't a definitive answer to that, I'm afraid. Yep, so back, Hungdamin says, look at the expected assist, absolutely worth it there. DM Basis appreciates Ange's honesty. That's fair. I mean, to a point, is it honesty or is it just being a bit of a dick? Even Robbie Savage doesn't like Robbie Savage. That's fair. That's fair. Tales of the Tapes does say at least we got a keeper in. I mean, let's be honest. Kinski is a big upgrade on Fraser Forster. That is a good thing. I do like the look of Kinski. Daniel Walkman has played mainly behind the striker, but otherwise out wide. Reasonably dribbly, reasonably goal scoring. He's fine. Like as a backup, he's fine. I don't think there's ever going to be a time where he's a dedicated starter. So El Norby reckons that you let Ange manage until they're competing in the Europa League. Fair enough. So RJ, we need 4 defensive midfielders. It does look that way. It does look that way. On the left, we have the finger, Boris Fortuna. Boris's job is to dribble and create. He does that to an okay degree. And also to get into goal-scoring positions, which he kind of does. So it's been a bit of a drop-off this season compared to last. Curtailed quite a bit by injury. It's been kind of on-off with him. But he's still doing okay. I'm still quite comfortable with him in terms of his performance. Then we've got Severi Karkinen, who we tried to sell last year. No one came in for him. And he's got a very, very similar level of performance to the Finger. I think we're okay. I think we're covered in terms of our wide areas right now. Selim Snab hasn't played enough minutes. He's just played 82. But he's a player that we are hoping will kind of develop over the next couple of years. Right, so sorry, I am trying to catch up as well then. So, Adam's in. Welcome in, Adam. How are you doing? I hope you are doing well, my dude. And Tyke is in. Welcome in, Tyke 1900. You've just bottled the Austrian Bundesliga. Oh, that's a bit crappy. Oh, what a shame. Right, so behind the striker, we've had problems with this over the previous 3 seasons. One of the players we signed over the winter was Antonio Jakub, and I really, really like Antonio Jakub. 15 goals in 2,400 minutes. He's doing what we want him to do as a shadow striker, is to make those runs from deep, from behind the target forward and score. That is it. We just want him to run forward and score. And that's what he's doing. Perfect. We've had Jason Reed, Robin Sid, Severi Karkinen, Daniel Rockman, Dylan Shambost, all struggle in that role up till now. So it's nice that we've got someone who can do it. We then signed R2D2 as well. And he's only got 2 goals, but he's only played 300 minutes because he signed late in the season. And he also scores goals at a pretty good rate. Happy with that. We also have Lagwe Byron Giro. He didn't play enough minutes because he's ruptured his cruciate ligaments. Damaged, not ruptured. Damaged cruciate ligaments, and has been out basically since like the first game of the season. He scored 4 goals in 5 starting appearances and 2 sub appearances. It was really good, but we don't know how he's going to be when he comes back. But I think we're covered there. So Ladislav Massey fan says, so Libero connoisseur, surely whoever was in charge would have recall clause for players like Vuskovic, otherwise doesn't seem like great planning. The whole preparation seems questionable. Holofab says, I don't watch football that often, so I'll believe you on your word. Replying to, so what did Hung Min say? The project is not going well, but Arteta is still safe. And will be fine for you. Fair enough. Up front, we've got Oni Satari. Oni Satari scored a crazy amount of goals, and he won a crazy amount of headers. That's what I want from a target forward. He's also doing a pretty decent job in terms of keeping the ball safe. Yeah, 24 goals. He now holds the record for most goals in a season for us. I'm happy with Oni Satari. Arvid Lundberg, on the other hand, signed a new contract, and he's been underperforming his XG. What does work in his favour, though, is he's been really good from a creative standpoint. He's also, when he drops deep, he's helping progress the ball quite nicely as well, which is cool. So I think we've got 2 very good strikers there. Samu Seek is the 3rd choice. He hasn't played enough minutes to judge. He hasn't scored a goal yet, though, in those 197 minutes. So, yeah, we'll bear with it there. So I think, overall, defensive midfield is our priority, right? Everything we need to focus on here is probably retooling the entirety of that pivot. We could probably do with upgrading the right back, but maybe not a high priority. Could probably do with looking for a new left-sided centre-back and try and move Cometio on. So in an ideal world, like the perfect transfer window, would be selling Cometio for like a decent chunk of that. Possibly selling Savalainen for a decent chunk. Probably selling Dahlstrom, Diane, and Chukwuemeka. Maybe between the 4 of them we can get like a million, and we can chuck that in with our crazy transfer budget. So we've got 766,000 euros to spend. Our balance, thanks to the Champions League, is up at 17 million pounds. So money is fine. Money is fine. I do need to add one more player here, obviously, don't I? So how does Slaymar fit in? So Slaymar, he's done okay, right? He's playing almost certainly going to be used as a pressing forward because the AI likes to use players in their best role. He's outscoring his XG, which is great. He's applying pressure, which is cool. So he's doing good work out off the ball. He's pretty safe with the ball. 10 goals in 26 appearances, pretty damn solid. And that's enough for him to get not just a cap for Finland, but he's now got an international goal as well. His contract expires in a year. No one is interested in him though, so there's a good chance that we could probably get him to sign a new contract, I reckon. And at the moment there isn't a minimum fee release clause, but I imagine that will probably come with it because he's 19 years old and he's a full international now. So yeah, we'll see how it goes there. The Daza asks, thoughts on West Ham's transfer strategy? Enough money for 57 million on Duran, but none for anywhere else. I think that a lot of what we don't see about transfer, or we hear a lot about it, is that I think that transfer activity involves a lot of conversation with players and agents outside of formal bids. And it's clear that West Ham have had good agreements in place with Duran previously, and therefore they feel like that's something that they could explore further. And that's why they're bidding again on a player who's only just signed a new contract. And it may be an element of that whilst we think that they don't have money for anywhere else, it's just that they haven't been able to find the right caliber of player that's willing to come, potentially. Tony Shalhoub Yakub, exactly, Knight of Knee. Right, so Holifab's going to take the Vitesse goalkeeper over Andre Onana. That is a bold take, and Bramall is really shit. Eesh. Adam reckons that this Dylan Shambost guy sounds good. Wonder whatever happened to him. Why don't we see what happened to him, in fact? So we got a fair little whack for him. £200,000 at our level is great. He went off to Vojvodina, and this season so far, obviously, it's a summer league, a winter league. So it starts in August. So only 10 games. Scored a couple of goals. Doing all right for himself. Value has increased quite a lot. And since he left, he's scored 4 goals in 62 games and 3 assists. Maybe not so good. So I think we want to look for players. We've got this homegrown in Finland is going to be massive for us. So we've got a list here of only 6 players who count as homegrown in Finland have their contract expiring soon. One of them is a left back / centre back. 5'9", he is not a centre back. Jarvela here. Jarvela has played 1,600 minutes. I'm guessing as a centre back with that much possession one. So a mixture of centre back and midfielder. Does win his tackle. So in 1,600 minutes, he's won his tackle. Oh, wait a second. That's for the reserve team. Not the senior team. Okay, let's not get too carried away by that. So ML and DCL are the major concerns so far. Asks Knight of Knee. No, so my major concerns are defensive midfield. Both the defensive midfield spots. Midfielder left, I'm fine with. Both the Finger and Karkinen are absolutely fine. I'm happy with our options at defensive at DL as well. DCL I would like to improve. Now that might be promoting Queetonen, but we'll see what we can get in terms of players in those positions. So Koatip says, if you want Sutari, he'll miss every chance. Then come on, hit the target man to the tune of Rod Stewart's Do You Think I'm Sexy? If you want Sutari, he'll miss every chance. Then come on, hit the target man. It scans. We've got something there. Quadmo says, if he damaged his cruise ship, he'll never be the same player. Take it from personal experience. There is a difference between personal experience and what happens in FM, though, so we will see. Thank you for the hydrate, El Norby. And Maestro for the mini game. We do have an ad coming up in a few moments, so we'll play the game after we come back, if that's cool with you. FMGNG, welcome in, my dude. How are you? Lovely to see you. So El Norby, will I spend more money in the transfer market than in the previous ones? I don't I'm not going to be keen to spend money just for the sake of spending money. We're going to apply the same mentality, but if the players that we want cost, then we will spend. We were willing to spend 125k to bring in R2 Heinonen before the Antonio Yakub deal became available. So, we're not avoiding spending money. Just we're being sensible. Right, yeah. So in terms of players expiring in 6 months, there aren't any Finnish players that seem to be fit that case. In terms of just generally speaking, though, and we can stick on this because with the scouted players approach, look, I've only got 28 players to look for, and we're looking for specific positions, so we can just go through each of them individually and see if there's anything that feels like it suits. So Aro Toivonen here, a 22-year-old who hasn't played. Yeah, that's not a good start. And so we're looking for defensive midfielders primarily at the moment. Anton Popovic we had on loan. He's currently not got a club. We've looked at Sonami. Could we replace Dahlstrom with Dahlstrom? No. Oh, maybe. So 84% tackle win. Actually, wait a second. He plays every position. So he's mainly been playing as a left back, occasionally in midfield as well. When we look at it from a left back perspective, and we look at it from midfield. So you kind of want to look overall. He does win his tackles at a really good rate. Possession one's okay. Possession lost a little bit high, but as a fullback, you give away the ball more. Not particularly progressive from either position. Yeah, I don't think we can really get much information from that's useful, and he doesn't really stand out, unfortunately. So I was confused there. Why would Calvert-Lewin be a concern for Mustermann? Why is Calvert-Lewin a concern for Mustermann? I've missed something there. Calvert-Lewin is always a concern for Mustermann. You never know what he's going to do. Is he going to do a lovely little bit of footwork and nicely create some space and score an amazing goal? Or is he going to blaze a chance over from like 3 yards out? You never know. You never know. Right, Lauri Sahima has been playing for Mikkeli in the Ikonen, which is the 3rd division. Have to be sensational at that case for us to think he can make the step up, which I don't think he can there. Emil Lillestrom plays a little bit higher up, not as a defensive midfielder, but he is doing really well at one thing, which is another player for the reserves there, not the senior team. We've looked at Jarvola. Santeri Varnanen over in the Superettan. 25-year-old. Look at that hair. Look at that hair. That's a good start. He's quite good in a progressive sense. Tackle 1 rate is the same as Dahlstrom. Possession 1 is around the same as them. Possession lost a little on the high side. Doesn't necessarily pressure much. Hasn't proven to be that creative. Yeah, I'm not getting great vibes from Varnanen. Like, he'd be solid, but I don't think he's any different to what we've already got. And the last one is another player playing down in the Ikonen. So it's a long drop off there. He is much more of an attacking player rather than a traditional pivot player. So nothing so far jumps out in terms of players that are going to be appropriate for us. Not a good start. So FM Console is in. Welcome in, FM Console. Lovely to see you, my dude. How are you? How's your weekend? So Ladislav, our massive fan, says that Dr. Spurs helped heal Calvert-Lewin's issues, which is fair. Look, Moore says, I wish there was a way to tell your scouts and the assignments to look for memeable names. That would be fun. So are you read our past? Am I eventually going to focus on the youth academy? No. Ultimately, we've got some money, which is great. We've got some money. We could look to improve facilities. Generally speaking, and I know this is me being stubborn, the manager isn't the person who makes decisions on whether to build a new stadium or expand the facilities. That's the board. So that will be their purview. Same way as we have a director of football, does director of football-y stuff. and we try and let our coaches do the coaching stuff. So in that regards, we're probably not going to see much of an improvement in that sense. Moreover, we're doing okay from our youth perspective. We've had Slaymar come through, we've got Holmberg come through, we've got Lofgren in the reserves. We kind of have enough coming through the route as it is. I don't think we've got any first team candidates at the moment. Certainly, my head of youth development doesn't feel we do. So we've brought some through partially, but ultimately when we play this style, a lot of it's going to be focused around transfers. So this Dahlstrom needs to improve his goalkeeping. I know. What's the point in learning how to play every position if you can't be a goalkeeper? Knight of Knee talks about so the Tales of the Tapes and Knight of Knee talking about D Rose and his injuries. Oh shit! Oops! There's an ad break. So I need to pop off and do my poisoning stuff. I will see you guys in about 3 minutes, where we're going to play a little mini game, and then I can keep on talking nonsense about transfer targets. See you in a few moments. Right, we're back. Well, hey. Right, we're going to play a little mini game. I do see, Oloringo, you've mentioned Pico Reinen. I'll go and have a look at him in a moment. And Jonathan Edwards, you've mentioned Timo Pukki as well. We'll check him as well after the game. Do remind me. As you can see, it can be quite difficult to keep up with chat, so I do apologise for that. But it also means that I might forget as well. FM Console has said that his lunchtime FM is going well. Season 3 Regionaire Diffuse resulted in safety on the last day. Marvellous. Made 125k in sales with 40-50% sell-on clauses to championship clubs as well. Nice. So let's explain how Missing 11 works. This is a game that requires you to be quite quick in reactions. It's going to be fastest finger first in the chat there. This is a team that played a game some point in the history of time. Your job once we reveal what the game is to guess the players in the starting lineup. We have the formation that was used there on the screen. We also have the number of letters of each player within that lineup. So we've got, as Adam points out, there's a player with 16 letters in their name. There is a player with 16 letters in their name. That's what the 16 means. Now, if you try and guess players before I reveal the details, it won't count, unfortunately. So I have a little thing here which means that I can disable those guesses just before we start, so that it's only fair once everyone's there. And sometimes people type stuff into chat earlier on during the day that ends up putting it in there. So yeah, be aware that guessing before we're ready isn't going to help you at all, unfortunately. Now, there's a point for every correct answer you get, and a point for working out what the significance of the game is. And over point for every guess, point for thing. There's a maximum of 5 points, however, that you can get. So just be aware that if you guess like the whole lineup, you're not going to get the full thing. So yeah, don't go too over the top. So in a few moments, I will reveal the details, and then you need to guess away. The team that we are looking for is the Arsenal team to face off against Bournemouth the 26th of December 2019. And so, as expected, somebody went, oh, there's a 16-letter name in defence. Is it Papastathopoulos? It is Papastathopoulos. And it is Leno in goal. And I'm going to mute whilst I'm about to cough. So we've got some guesses coming in right off the top. DM Basis picked up on Bukayo Saka at left back. Was Ceballos in the last starting lineup? He wasn't. Was Maitland-Niles, however? He was playing right back. Xhaka was in the lineup there. We've got that come through straight away. Nice there. Papastathopoulos a little bit late, unfortunately. Arteta wasn't in the lineup, read up. Louise, fantastic guess from Ladislav Almaty fan. Indeed. Kay Wozniak, welcome in, by the way. It was Nelson on the right wing. Crazy. Toby the Tubman managed to get Ozil. Aubameyang was guessed by Cyril. Fabulous work there. Who got Lacazette? Who was it got Lacazette? It might have been Ladislav Almaty fan who got Aubameyang first. He got Lacazette as well. Now it's going to be tight as to whether that came through on YouTube or Twitch first. So I will work out the winner of that after the stream. Guesses have come in as well for what the connection is. Is it Saka's debut? It is not Saka's debut. Was it Arteta's first game as Arsenal manager? It was. So that's a bonus point to Crudmo. Well done there. Absolutely fantastic. You guys absolutely blitzed through it, as I know that you would. DM Basis says, not always wanting to praise Arsenal, but fair play to them for doing well given how awful that team is. Oh, what do you mean? A fullback combination of Maitland-Niles and Saka is the stuff of dreams, right? Stuff of dreams. Pardon me. Jonathan Edwards and Ladislav Almaty all both correctly, and Out Farby as well, I do apologize, all correctly identified. It was Arteta's first match as well. Just unfortunately a little bit behind Crodmo. So you guessed Arteta's first game first. Did you now, FM console? Let me have a look at that. You did indeed. Anyway, when I read these out, it doesn't matter who I say got the points whilst I'm on stream. I have to go back and watch through it and tot up the points manually. So it all gets sorted out in the wash anyway. Adam, though, wants to stoke some controversy. Fair enough. Right, let's head on back. And this is why I need you to remind me of the players that I need to look up, because now I've encouraged you all to just chuck a load of names into chat, and I've got to scroll back 3 years to find the players we were meant to be looking for. So it is Juhani Pikarainen. Let's just go with Picker. He is a centre-back currently at Ilves. He has won 76% of his tackles, 75% of his headers. He is doing very, very well. He is also super expensive. So probably not someone we're going to look at unless he suddenly wants to leave. Hasn't been capped by Finland, so hasn't made that step up. Now 29, looks like a very good player. I can remember Timo Pukki. That's an easy one to remember. Timo Pukki is currently a director of football who's unemployed. So since retiring, he hasn't got a job. He played in this save pretty decent in Minnesota for 3 seasons. A drop off in his final season there last year, 2026, and then he hung up his boots. There we go. So what we are going to do. Well, okay, I need to talk about the other thing. So Lukmar asks, could Crudmod delete messages that compete with his answers? He could, Lukmar, but again, because I watch it back and it's over on the this is one of the advantages as well of YouTube, is watching the VOD on YouTube. I can see when guesses come through from YouTube's perspective, so I can work out the timings. It won't delete it from the historical records there, so yeah, it's absolutely fine. Right, there is one other thing that we need to talk about before we look at more transfer news, which is we're currently at the end of season 4. We've got 2 years remaining on our contract. We are doing very, very well, but we have just won back-to-back league titles. Up until this point, we have rejected every interview offer outright. Just, we're not entertaining it. We've got a point to prove that winning the league wasn't just a flash in a pan. You know, in the second season we won the Liga Cup and then had a really bad league season. The third season we won the league and the Swarman Cup. The fourth season we won the Liga Cup and the league. We got knocked out in the Swarman Cup though. So the question is whether, realistically, it would now be the point in time where we end up just kind of not necessarily whoring ourselves out, but at the very least entertaining offers that come our way. And I say realistically because I can't think of many examples over the course of history where someone's done really, really well in, say, the Veikkausliga and then taken a job in like the Eredivisie. That would be crazy. Even though I think we got an offer from a team in the Eredivisie at one point. So realistically, if we get interview offers from teams maybe a little step up, I think from here on in, we head on. We head to the interviews. We consider them. We see what's going on. We don't necessarily apply for jobs actively ourselves, though. And the leagues I think we should probably consider. Let's go to Europe. It's competitions leagues. Where are we? We're down here somewhere. We're currently the 41st ranked league in Europe with 2.5 stars. Now, the Kuchen Champion division is around the same, just a little bit higher. Maybe. I think that would still seem like a slightly weird move. Same with La Liga Hypermotion, Ligue 2, Serie B. They all seem like they feel a bit more weird to me than, say, like the second Bundesliga. I feel like Finland to Germany doesn't seem quite as odd. So perhaps we would entertain offers from the second Bundesliga. It's a step up in reputation, but not like a massive step up. We would definitely consider Sweden, local to us. Again, only a slight step up in reputation. Same goes for the Eliteserien. Same goes for the Danish Superliga as well. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that if we get job offers from those countries, we consider the move, but not actively pursue it. So we've got some questions coming in about other players to look up. We've got Jimmy Taurianen, the Chelsea player, of course, from Ladislav. He is currently at Brøndby. He has not played much for Brøndby. Now, theirs is a winter league, so they're only a couple of months in. He's not really moved any trees in that time from the looks of things. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be particularly special, unfortunately. Right, so he's a poor man's Jussi Kujala, indeed. Quadmo fan asks, how much further can we take this team? It's a fair question. I think that we could certainly look to make ourselves competitive in maybe some of the other European competitions. We could potentially, I think that we could make a knockout stage in the Conference League maybe after a few years. So we'll see from there. So El Norby has a question about the Patreon tier. Does it contain your big player spreadsheet, or is it contain spreadsheets for each episode? So it contains the big player spreadsheet, the one that's for everything all together. The spreadsheets I use for each individual episode is just a copy of the big spreadsheet with tabs specifically around those teams. I separate them off into separate spreadsheets just so that the loading time is a lot shorter. If I had all the information for each episode in that one spreadsheet, you'd end up with, like, every time it needs to do a formula, it's cross-referencing and it goes slow. However, so I've customized the main database spreadsheet so that you have a search criteria in there that makes it relatively easy to look and filter down. You also get access to the Moneyball dashboard, and the dashboard is basically the spreadsheet, but much easier to use. So Holifab reckons we should go to Vitesse. I wonder why that might be. So yeah, like Sweden, Norway, Denmark makes absolute sense. So Night of Knee says, do get it. Do you recall what offers you had so far? So we've rejected De Graafschap and Odense. I can't remember. There's been a couple of others we've rejected. I can't remember who they are though. So Lukmar says, your manager is called Aratalo. I'd been so confused what you were singing before Viklof Holding Arena in the Lordi song. Indeed, we have embodied former Champs manager legend Mika Aratalo. So that's why that's there. Console says that first Trump thing, Quadmo, where does the tyranny end today? It's, we will get used to it over the next 4 years. Oh God, do I have to have Quad mods for 4 years? Maybe not. Oh dear. So Coatiba suggested maybe a little bit Go Ahead Eagles. Maybe. Oh, let's have a look at what the shop picture is looking like right now. So, we haven't had any offers from these guys, but maybe Landskrona. They just survived, or have they? How many more games are left? They might survive. They might not. They might go down. So you've got Landskrona, potentially that job is currently available. Moss in not the Norwegian second division. I don't think we'll go to the second divisions of those countries, personally. Definitely not the lower divisions yet there. But we have, so Aalborg here, currently in 11th. They're insecure. Brondby in 9th is insecure as well. I don't know why I'm clicking on them. It tells you what position they're in there. Kristiansund, Lillestrøm, Halmstad, Kalmar. I think these are all teams that we could reasonably consider if they come in. But as I said, maybe we get no offers. Maybe I've got a reputation as someone who turns down teams and no one will be interested anymore. So Crodmo says that we've rejected SK Brand. We did indeed. Well done. Yes, thank you very much for that. So, are there any jobs available? There are jobs available, but as I said, we're not going to... Yeah, not that you're going to apply. It'd be interesting to see what's out there currently. I apologise, Quadbo fan. I'm behind a little. There's a surprise. So, Night of Knee says, come to train in sunny Portugal. I think that maybe once we've established ourselves in a country a little bit closer to Finland, then I believe it's realistic our reputation might see us move further afield. Obviously, it's a very loose statement, that. What is realistic? Yeah, so I think that there is certainly what our next move might end up being a stepping stone, depending on how it goes. We'll see how the save pans out. I wasn't planning on leaving IFK Mariehamn up until recently, so there you go. So Adam's not paying for 4 years of Crud mod. I mean, I don't think we said it was Is the agreement actually one recurring gift sub for every month that Quadmod is a Quadmod? Right, okay. Right, there we go. I didn't even realise that was the agreement. So, damn, I should have said higher. Ladislav Massey says Finland to MLS seems realistic, though I don't think you'd want to deal with the weird rules. I wouldn't. I really, really wouldn't. So there are shouts for Brondby. People like the idea of Brondby. Could be good. If let's see if they come calling for us. Supreme Quan is in. Welcome in, my dude. Lovely to see you. So we're not job hunting. I'm just establishing that we're willing to entertain ideas of. So if a team, up until now, we've rejected any offers of interviews. But from here on in, we're going to start considering them and maybe look to take our career beyond the shores of the Åland archipelago. Landskrona is where Alexander Farnerud came from. That would be quite fun. Well, I want to see if any of these players in our rivals, essentially, could potentially be an option. Preferably Finnish players. So Pyri Mentu, we saw getting quite far forwards when he played against us. He's a defensive midfielder. Oh, I like Mentu. He's probably going to be far too expensive for us, especially with his wages already being €1,000 per week. Let's, though, possibly get some scout report on him. Look at him. He pressures a lot. He pressures a crazy amount. And he's creative. 130k is the bottom asking price. Probably a little bit too much for us. So remember, if you get a new job, you have to make pictures for a whole squad. I know. And that's part of the reason why I have to mention it now as well, is because I have to remind myself that just because I've sunk time into making all those pictures, that I shouldn't consider that to mean that I have to stay, if that makes any sense at all. Not so keen there. Doesn't really create. Didn't play enough. So I'm just going to look through and see what we've got going on throughout the league. Defensive midfielders are very hard to find through the league stats because they don't necessarily perform well in areas. Oh. Right, we are going to. This is not stat based. We are going to scout Mattias Siltanen because I trust RDF Tactics, and RDF Tactics just did a real life scout report on Mattias Siltanen. So let's see what the game reckons about him. He doesn't have performance to judge on, so that's unlikely to be like a marquee signing, but maybe someone we look to bring in at some point. So Adam says, I was looking down then and I just heard, I like men too. Oh, right, yes, indeed. Well, that would be one way to come out, wouldn't it? Jonathan Edwards says, Puskás FC Academy are currently top of the Hungarian division. That's quite cool. So going by percentage for the DMs. So, yeah, right, okay. With defensive midfield stats, for example, we don't know what positions Lindemann has played. Generally speaking, defensive midfielders have a lower tackle win rate than any other position on the pitch. They also have like a lower header win rate than centre backs, usually full backs as well, and some strikers. So we can't go into say that they're quite important for us. They generally, possession won tends to be lower than defenders. Possession lost tends to be higher than defenders. Pressures attempted tends to be lower than attacking midfielders. And so if we're looking through the player stats here, they're not going to feature potentially in the list at all, which is what I was trying to explain. So instead, we're going to look through essentially one by one. Lindemann isn't particularly good here. Hirvonen, not great. 71% tackle win rate. Doesn't really stand out in any respect. I've mentioned Seaton, Kiviyaji hasn't played much. These other players play further ahead. So let's look at SJK. SJK overperformed this season, which is good. They've got lots of defensive midfielders. Look at that. Right, Hanela here. Hanela's good at pressuring and getting forward, so he probably plays further up. Tackle win rate is good. Let's have a look at Hanela. So Noah Lane is injured, played 24 minutes. Don't get my hopes up, indeed. So I've come to loathe the match rating system in FM, and I hate how influential it is in the game. I think any match rating system tends to be quite arbitrary. Match rating systems in real life are pretty rubbish as well. Right, so Noah Lane doesn't look great. I mean, I'm going to, instead of explaining that everyone doesn't look great, I'm going to scan through, and if something stands out, then I will say therefore. Or else you're just going to hear me say no over and over again. We looked at Ilves already. I don't think we have. Arifi here. I do like Arifi. Pressures, wins possession more than our other players does. 82% tackle win rate, 71% header win rate. Really progressive, not too expensive. His wages might be an issue, so we'll add him to a short list as well. So we'll always have each other, says Adam. Oh, how sweet. Knight of Knee, tell Adam it's the 21st century. It's okay if you like men too. We will support you. It's perfectly reasonable. It's lovely. Look at this loving, isn't it sweet? Exactly. There's always room for a strapping young mod. Now, I don't know where we're going, because once we're talking about loving one another and then we start talking about straps, that might get a little bit too not safe for work. Right, if you move to Ilves, on the other hand, we'd leave the channel immediately, our nemesis. Yes, we have no plans to abandon for our rivals, that's for sure. Talking about liking men, here's some mans. The proper plural of man. He's not a player I'm particularly... am I? Looks like more of a winger to me with those stats. Yeah, he is. He is. Let's pass on over to TPS. We have looked at TPS because... No, we haven't. So Adam Zhu, he could come back. No, he can't. Well, he can. He will come back, but he's not going to be the priority. Right. We'll get through the league pretty quickly at this rate, I have a feeling. And we'll pop down to a league below as well, potentially. Musterman, maybe skip this part of the chat if you're doing readouts. I'm being as careful as I possibly can. There are some talks about DILFs, which is definitely not where I expected us to be. Not on a Monday. Like that's Friday chat, right? Like Friday is for DILFs. Monday is a little bit gentler, surely. Yeah, I don't mind Prosper. He's not Finnish, but possession one's reasonably encouraging, not progressive, but as a more defensive option, let's keep an eye on him. Right, so no, Ladislav wants me to read everything out. There we go. So Quadmo doesn't seem to know what a DILF is. Fair enough. That's very good and innocent. I mean, I'll be honest. I don't think I'm actually particularly familiar with. I don't think I've ever read the word DILF, but you can work it out from context, surely. So Knight of Knee wants us to weaken Ilves. That is certainly a reasonable consideration. But again, it's also we'll end up strengthening them by giving them a lot of money potentially. Oh, I like Krebs. I don't like how much Krebs would cost. He's also not Finnish, but so far we have mainly identified players that don't actually meet the criteria. It's always good. Right, so I reckon in about 20 minutes when he reads this message, he's going to have a good chuckle. I am indeed. This is sensational, chat. Let's be honest. I might need to mark it as not safe for work. Indeed, all that strap talk seems intrusive. Exactly. I mean, what you want to get up to, by all means, get up to it. I have no judgment there whatsoever. But just save it for another day. Right, so Jonathan Edwards has just said Nisilla. I assume that you want me to look up Nisilla. Is that, or was that a player that we've skipped past that you think we shouldn't have done so? Right, yeah, none of those are particularly interesting. Coming down to VPS now, we're probably running out of players here to look at. Oliver White does pressure. That's a good thing. He's out for a bit of time. There's plenty of time in the off-season anyway, so that's fine. Yeah, we've gone through all of them there. I'm now going to pop down and have a look through the squads in the division below. Here they really need to stand out, like massively stand out. Like Marinus Jew Grant here, if we were looking for a goal scorer from deep, that's pretty significant standout. We're not though, so that doesn't bode well. This man has such a small face for such a large head. I'm not one to judge anyone on appearances. But like his face is all down there and his head's all the way up here. That feels wrong. That feels wrong. Right, so where was I with chat? So the Ilves logo in the background of the players' faces looks so ominous. It's proper Midsummer stuff. It's proper Wicker Man. It's amazing. I love it so much. So much. It's Blue Monday. We're trying to lighten the mood. That's fair. That's fair. I can't knock that at all. I mean, I will, but I shouldn't. Right, Fridays for Dilfs would be a cracking piece of merch. Let me, Fridays for Dilfs. Definitely. I am so far behind that. It's amazing. Fridays for Dilfs. Like with zero context as well. It's beautiful. Right, this kid looks okay. Pressuring, winning his tackles, possession one, progressing the ball, creating, potentially quite affordable. That is like maybe the first player I've looked at so far and gone, ooh, I like that. Mondays for MILFs, Fridays for DILFs. Perfect. We've got a system. Every day is for MILFs, apparently. Supreme Quan loves Fridays. What can I say? Jonathan has said that the Ilves are a bunch of C words, but lovely badge though. I think that is fair. That is a fair summary of their involvement in our stream so far. Our save so far. Yeah, his tackle win rate's rubbish, but his defensive stuff's okay. We'll keep an eye on him. So Knight of Knee suggests that we don't just plunder Ilves, but we do it in installments so they don't get the money all at once. You are an evil man, Knight of Knee. I love it. Right, in politically correct language, DILF, a sexually attractive older man, typically one who has children. There we go. We've got some DILF definitions. Welcome in, Brazilian Fury. I hope you are delighted to have arrived at this time that we're talking about DILFs. You might well have already said some more things in the chat, so I might have missed it. But we would love to know your opinion on DILFs. That's what we're here for. This is what you can be grateful that you missed out on Friday. If we brought this chat into yours, that would have been awful or fun. One way. Who knows which way around it'd be. Right, so FM Console, thank you very much for dropping by. Have a lovely dinner. People have already said that you've chosen a wonderful time. I'm behind, so yes, they've already said what I said. Beautiful.
It's not the statistics. It's not the statistics. You tell me, how do you measure somebody that could balance a balloon in a wind tunnel on a needle?
Thank you very much, DM Bassist. That is a gift subscription to Dilf Destroyer. Beautiful stuff. It brings a tear to your eye, man. It brings a tear to your eye. Oh my word. Oh my word. We should probably sign this guy, shouldn't we? I wonder if Oscar Wickloff is related in any way to the Wickloff of the Wickloff Holding Arena. He's more attacking than what we're looking for. Does it say where he was born? He was born in Mariehamn. He is definitely got to have something to do with. Right, yeah. Let's look at bringing Wickloff back home. His contract's due to expire as well. That's a player we're definitely going to keep an eye on. So generally speaking, so far, we have not found much. We've got a handful, well, I say not much. That is a list of 11 players, so maybe not that awful. So we'll scout them. That's going to cost us £7,500 out of our scouting budget, but that's a good starting point, I think, at least. And then when we move into closer to the end of contracts and stuff, we can start looking at those other positions as well. Defensive midfield is going to be our priority. There were a mixture of players that were creative, some that were defensive as well. So there we go. So did Dilf Destroyer talk to begin with? I feel like I've missed something. Right, all the way up. A Sacrodmo fan just watched Omar dance through all of your players and score. You're 6-2 up. It's absolutely fine. No problem with that whatsoever. Right, does anyone have a method of searching for something they've lost? Do you know when you lost it? Adam, it's just asking for the missus. At which point she just looks over and goes, "It's there, you idiot." Exactly. So imagine Musterman trying to keep up with all of chat once we reach 100 or 1,000 viewers. He's going to have an aneurysm. I mean, yeah. I mean, you say once we reach, if a very, very strong if, because we'll get to that point maybe where we're about 50 currently. And people will be like, "I've chatted and I take 10 minutes to respond," and they'll never come back again. So are we doing periodization for DILFs, MILFs to increase performance? Exactly that. You've got to, you start with your MILFs, because you want your more intense work at the beginning of the week. So you start with the MILFs. That requires you to be quite active. Midweek is for GILFs. Because you can phone that in a little bit. The end of the week is for DILFs, because you don't necessarily have to be that active a participant at all. Yes, that's what I said. We'll go with that. Brazilian Fury doesn't fit those parameters, but I mean, DILFs are all right. People have preferences and such. Exactly. So who made that account? Oh, you've got to know, don't you? You've got to know. I really want that person to be active and come in and chat at some point. So that's the other point. Okay, so DM Bassist, I take it that you just typed in, you went gift a subscription to a specific person and just typed in the word DILF and picked whatever came up. So there was just a random person on Twitch that looked up a DILF related name. Amazing. So if at any point if by any chance DILF Destroyer you are in, welcome on in to the world of Football Manager, where we talk about DILFs on Fridays. If you're watching the VOD as well, that is some dedication to find out why on earth you've been given a sub here. I doubt that's going to happen, but I wish you all the best in your destruction of DILFs. Here we go then. We have a game. We've moved forwards, and it's a game against easy game against PSG at home. So I feel like Lundberg's been okay for us. In fact, like from a form perspective, he's been better in recent weeks. Kereke, Dahlstrom. The rest of that is the starting lineup. Get all these guys on the bench. Diana's still a little bit away. Pick out some reserves. That's Lofgren normally. And let's get Mohamed on the bench as well. He hasn't got a hope of playing. There's like 3 or 4 strikers ahead of him there. But yeah, let's head in and for this. This isn't going to be painful. This isn't going to be truly humbling. Now, could we play a defensive formation? That might be a better idea, right? So Quadmo fan senses slow chat will be enabled if that happens. That is fair. That is fair indeed. By the way, thank you very much for the hydrate, Supreme Quan. I might have already read that out. I can't remember. I'm so confused and lost already. So what about step MILFs? I mean, I think step MILFs come under the broader MILF banner. So they're a Monday activity. But maybe if you need to spread it out a little bit each day. Step MILFs for Tuesdays, I guess. I feel like talking about MILFs, step MILFs and DILFs.
It's not the statistics! It's not the statistics! You tell me, how do you measure somebody that could balance a balloon in a wind tunnel on a needle?
Thank you, Holifab, for the gifted 1 month tier 1 subscription to Step Milk. Oh, what on earth is happening? There are literal tears in my eyes. You guys are hilarious. This is crazy. What the hell is going on? Exactly. Right, there's a penalty. We've conceded a penalty inside the opening 11 minutes. It doesn't matter. We're going to lose this game like 10-0 anyway. Welcome, Step MILF. If you have just received a notification that you have been gifted a subscription, welcome. I'm MustermannFM, and we play a football computer game called Football Manager. I bet you know everything about this. So Mandarin says, question, why do you always wear a hat when you have such an amazing head of hair? Good evening. Mandarin, largely because at this time of year it's very cold, and when I go on breaks and during the course of the day, I go outside to vape, and that means that over the course of the day I end up with hat hair, and so I keep the hat on for the rest of the day. So Ladislav is having a go at me for denying Slaymar his legacy games in the UCL. Just remember that our league runs to a different calendar, so Slaymar will be back before the last 2 games. So there we go.
It's not the statistics. It's not the statistics. You tell me, how do you measure somebody that could balance a balloon in a wind tunnel on a needle?
Thank you very much, Lukmar No Pants, for the gift subscription to Gilf Hunter 47. Now, Gilf Hunter 47, if you watch this VOD back, welcome on in. just go back a little bit in the chat. We've been talking about DILFs, GILFs, MILFs, step MILFs. You seem to be an expert in the hunting of GILFs. So if you have any advice for our tactical periodization of our of the ILF likes, we would very much appreciate your input. DMB, did you just say they have Greenwood? They do indeed. That is that right? Okay. So we do need to actually pay some attention to this game then. Because now all of a sudden there is certain pressures involved that we want to make sure happen within the course of the game. We're going to take Be More Expressive off. We're going slightly higher. No, we're not. We're going to do that first, and then we're going to, which is already on higher, which is fine. Jakub and Lundberg switch round there. Otherwise, like, yeah, sure, players have some bad ratings. They're playing against PSG. Of course, they have bad ratings. So, are there any step DILFs? There were definitely step DILFs. I'm pretty certain. I am pretty certain. So, Adam thought it got picked at random. Picked at random indeed. That would be amazing now, wouldn't it? That would absolutely be amazing. So Maeve points out that look at the crowd. We've actually got like the whole island. He's right indeed. And obviously this isn't at our ground. So they've all travelled to a proper ground. Actually, no, wait a second. They're bloody plastic fans. Oh, you're willing to come for this game, are you? You're not going to come to our home games? We can't even sell out a 2,000-seater stadium. It's there, Emery makes it 2-0. That's a lovely goal. A lovely volley. Was it offside, though? I can't see anything to suggest it's going to be chalked off. Indeed, it's not. Lovely, lovely goal. Right, so Bam Bam says, if I stick with Mariehamn, I'll happily provide fantasy kits for the game if you're interested. That's very kind. Certainly that would be cool, but I would say hold fire because, as I said, we're going to entertain interview offers. We don't know when those will come. So, it might look like we're staying at Mariehamn and then all of a sudden be off. So it probably wouldn't be, it would be unfair for you to do that, only for us to then potentially leave like the next week. So yeah, just to be mindful there. That is an outrageous account name, absolutely. The only way this would get better is if we found out one of these people was a genuine viewer, indeed. Look at that! Don't you dare disallow that. Don't you dare. That was fine. He was well onside. We've got a goal against PSG. We can lose the rest of this game 10-1 for all I care. We scored a goal against PSG in the Champions League, and it was a thing of fucking beauty. Absolute thing of beauty. Oh, right, yep, thank you. Thank you, Crudmo. My background music did get a lot louder because I used desktop audio so that we could hear the game. Thank you. Thank you. Right, the finger with the corner. Oh, come on, come on. Is this going to be a chance? Back to the finger. Has he stayed onside? No flag has gone up. He plays it to Savalainen. Savalainen takes a really crappy touch before taking the shot. There we go. Oh, well. Right, Lundberg is looking tired. We're into the last few minutes or so. Oh, that's turned the music off by accident. So on comes Sutari. On comes R2. Yes, we're bringing R2 on for the finger because the finger's booked and really tired. He can play as an inside forward. But we're going to put Jakub out there, R2 up front. Enquist is also booked, so all our attacking effort now is all focused down this left-hand side, despite our goal coming from the right-hand side. Here we go, into the last 15 minutes or so. Could we do something very, very improbable? Okay, looks to kickstart just that. Dahlstrom plays it back to Kimecho, making the ball down. It can't quite squeeze the ball through there with Stasitsky. Now here comes Paris Saint-Germain. Ousmane Dembele out wide. Just plays it safe, nice and sensible. They're in control. They don't really need to. They don't need to panic. They can just methodically work their way up the pitch through Marquinhos to the man that we don't want to talk about. Zaire Emery comes away with the ball. It plays it back to Marquinhos. Can we move the ball to the other flank? That's fine. You can play it to him. Zaire Emery back to Van Hecker. Feeds someone. Virginia's shot is saved. Shaloub rocks. He does indeed. He does indeed. Milfs, Dilfs and Gilfs versus Greenwood. I would never root for Milfs, Dilfs and Gilfs more than that. But I think I should point out that the numbers viewing this stream have gone up since we started talking about Dilfs. There we go. There we go. I imagine that it's also a lot of people who've gone away for that same reason as well. Can we know? Right, DM bassist Crodmo says yeah to the band. Oh, right, yeah. Is it too much close to finding real people? We can indeed know. There is a link in the Discord to his band, in fact. Posted on Thursday evening, DMB. So, Deus Dominus points out there 3 shots on target, 3 goals at that point. Indeed. We've made a save, though, so it's all right. That kind of feels like it's pretty standard now for FM, isn't it? It's easy to generate shots. It's difficult to generate shots on target, and if they're on target, you've got a pretty good chance of scoring. Granted, we've now made 2 saves, but this is marvellous. We're about to lose. That's fine. But we haven't been absolutely tonked by PSG, which is crazy. Right, Beraldo into Ugarte, finds Emery, plays it through to Kolo Romani, off the underside of the bar. Dembele to Vitinha, and Akereke gets it clear. Into the last few minutes or so, let's just... Not that attacking will make much difference, but let's give it a try anyway. Larson finds R2-D2, finds Stavitsky! Stavitsky! Oh my god, Stavitsky! I like the way he's scoring. Stavitsky, he's gonna bag it up. I like the way he's scoring. Stavitsky, he's gonna bag it up. Oh my word, what on earth is happening? Right, paused. They've got a highlight straight from the goal. There is 3 minutes of injury time remaining. But we are making changes, and those changes are going to be Abu Bawa coming on. It's going to be these players dropping back into their defensive shape. In fact, it's going to be these players dropping into a much more defensive version of that shape. R2-D2 is going to come into midfield. So, I think Yakub can play centrally, which is, well, vaguely. Right, neither of them can really play out on the left, so let's do it that way round. See if either of them can play on the right. Not especially. I think Yakub is better in that respect. Down to balance. Time wasting up. Tempo down. Pass into space. Off. Counter off. Send on Abu Bawa. We hope that we survive this highlight. Then we make another substitute afterwards in the hopes that we can waste time. Pixelated Soup says thank you for the sub to Lukmar. He's such a gentleman, isn't he, Lukmar? Bless him. Bless him. DM basis say it. We're gonna win the fucking Champions League. We're gonna win the fucking Champions League. Especially as long as we can hold out here. The highlight hasn't ended. They keep on applying pressure. Gets the header away, but here's Skriniar. Skriniar with a chance. Goes wide. That's fine. That's fine. The substitution has happened. That means we can now make another one with the time wasting involved. Yakub will finally be the man to come off. He's going to be replaced by Kuitunen. Kuitunen is going to drop into the midfield there. Dahlstrom as ball-winning midfielder for the last 2 minutes. 2 minutes of injury time. 1 minute of injury time. No minutes of injury time. No minutes of injury time. That's got to be it. That's got to be it. We're well over. Just blow the whistle. Blow, blow, blow the whistle. Blow the whistle, ref. Don't. Snore. Snore with the save in the 7th minute of injury time. We're into the 8th minute of injury time here. Stavitsky, it's got to be over. It's got to be over, ref. It's got to be over. We're into the 9th minute of 5 minutes injury time here. This is corruption of the highest order. Kolo Muani plays it to Vitinha. Ugarte, it's done. It's done. Oh my word. We do not deserve that. We do not deserve that whatsoever. Whatsoever. And we haven't won the game. It's worth pointing out we haven't won the game.
It's not the statistics. You tell me, how do you measure somebody that could balance a balloon in a wind tunnel on a needle?
Thank you, Adam. Thank you very, very much for the gift subscriptions to Craig FS81, DNX28, Eddie Tiro Collage, Paku79, The Boss 985. I hope that they're currently online and they're just about to drop in, because we might not have won. But my word, we didn't lose. We only had 2 shots on target. We only had 4 shots in the entire game. But remember, we gave away a bollocks penalty to begin with as well. Like, if anything, we're the ones who've been robbed. Sensational stuff. Sensational. How on earth? Well, we're going to win the fucking Champions League. 4 points from 3 games. The lowly little IFK Mariehamn with the lowest seed in the whole tournament. How about that? We've now got 2 weeks until the next game as well, so let's head on over. Let's pop a friendly in midweek against larger team, maybe. No, maybe a smaller team. Let's see if FC Stockholm will come over here. They will. Let's not give ourselves competitive games in between. Let's try and keep morale going. So it's beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. So Rafael Silva is in. Welcome on in, Rafael Silva. We are indeed in the group stage of the Champions League. We made it. It's incredible stuff. We won our first ever Champions League proper game as well. 3-2 away against Utrecht. We then lost the next one away against Dynamo Zagreb, also 3-2. We've just drawn with Paris Saint-Germain. What on earth? What on earth? And by the way, unknown UK simp, welcome on in. Thank you very much for the follow. I hope you have enjoyed the chaos a little bit. There never has there been more deserved gift subs. Bless you, Adam. Bless you so much. Right, so welcome, Paris Saint-Germain. Welcome to the Mustermann Penitentiary, indeed. Toby is off to play football. Have a lovely evening, my dude. That is such an FMing. My dear God, it was. It was. You did absolutely join at a weird time. Welcome in. Hank, welcome back as well. My word. We were gifting subs to Dilfs, Milfs and Gilfs. That is very, very true. Right, time to have a lurk for a bit. Probably to be back in chat before the end of the stream. No worries, Adam. Thank you very much so far for being along. Crodmo says 930k. Not too shabby, eh? Not too shabby. So Watford doesn't really fit the criteria we're looking for. We were talking about staying much closer to within like the Nordic area. Now there is one caveat I would say, which is that if there was going to be a country outside of what we've identified so far, Mika Aratalo, the player who spent a fair chunk of his youth career in England, would perhaps consider England. Watford don't look to be in good shape right now. They are currently in the relegation zone. But I don't think it didn't meet what we said. It didn't meet what we said, so we're declining. We are declining straight out of the way. There you go. I'm not going to tell you why we declined. We just have. Miles recognised your FMing and told Watford to interview you. Exactly. Right. We have another ad. Another ad is in there. Bam Bam has redeemed a mystery minigame as well. So once we're back, in about 3 to 4 minutes, we'll play a little game. And then we can carry on our Champions League march. See you guys in about 4 minutes. Right, we're back. Welcome back all. So, Crudmid permits all. Fair enough. I have no idea what that is in context too. Oh, you're adding permitted terms to the chat. There we go. The dictatorship is taking off. I suppose though, if you are going to try and sneak in some very prohibitive rules, the best time is after a big result like that, whilst everyone's high and not really noticing what else is going on. So Ladislav asks, what division are Holsten Kiel in currently? Holsten are... would help if I could spell, right? Holsten are currently in the Bundesliga 2. They're mid-table, 4 games in. Have they had any recent luck? They got promoted in the 24-25 season, got relegated, and then struggled a little last season. And now this season they're around the same place as well. I do apologise. I'm on the Only Connect thing, so you didn't see any of that anyway. Let's play a round of Only Connect. That's the next plan. Oh dear, sorry. So, Lookmar says every time you return from the break, I get spooked slightly. I do apologise. Maybe I need to bring that mic level down a little bit. I'm sorry, my dude. We're going to play a round of Only Connect. So for those of you that haven't been along in these streams before or haven't seen this before, I will explain the rules. You're going to see 4 football players, one after the other. They all have some kind of common link. That might be that they've all played with the same player in their career, or with the same under the same manager, maybe for the same team. Maybe it's something a little bit more abstract or specific. Maybe they've all scored. They're the top scorers in a World Cup or something along those lines, or in a specific. They scored goals in a specific game. What that connection can be very wide. It can sometimes be things hidden within names as well. But your job is to work out what that connection is. You'll see those pictures one after the other. The earlier you work out the connection, the more points you get. And those points get you on that lovely little scoreboard, kind of just beneath me right now. So with that said, let's head on over to the first clue and see if anyone can work it out from there. So am I staring at the break screen the whole time? Sorry, no, it's Crodmo staring at the break screen. So, all right, it isn't the sole focus of your attention. It should be the sole focus of your attention. That is absolutely right. Right. Has Crodmo got an autism diagnosis? Possibly. Supreme Quan is immediately saying that they're all going to be Jamaican. It's not that they're all Jamaican, but you are right, Crodmo. This is Leon Bailey. The wonderful, the amazing, the incredible Leon Bailey. Coritiba is going for CONCACAF ballers. Tyreek George fan is saying all self-claimed Chelsea fans. Caribbean players, fair guess. El Norby has gone for thinking goal celebrations. He is thinking. You see, like Rashford thinks he's thinking with the one finger. Leon Bailey thinks twice as hard. That's why Leon Bailey's the better player. It isn't Caribbean players. It isn't CONCACAF. It isn't Jamaican. It's not goal celebrations. So Supreme Quan is going for animal names. I'm guessing Leon with lion there. We've got played for Leverkusen. We've got players who changed nationality. All players with disgusting alcohols in their name, going for Bailey's there. They all contain names of Skylander characters in their name. I don't know anything about Skylanders, so I couldn't work that one out. So is it FC Liefering Academy players? It's not any of these, unfortunately. So they all couldn't sign contracts because of the under 18 EU rules. Another fine guess as well. It's not that either. Let's just move on and see what the next one is. So El Norby's guessing that it might be Musterman favourite teams, favourite players. That is fair. That is fair. It's not that. By movie or just movie names. Is there? I don't know the movie you're going for there. FM Console's gone for star signs, so Leo in Leon. A fine guess. It's not that. Their first names are all well-known UK fast food chains. There's a well-known fast food chain called Leon. I feel like I'm missing something there. So the Musterman himself, how you doing? Welcome on in, Dill. Lovely to see you, my dude. I hope you are doing well. Let's just do one of these little bits as the guesses are coming in. We have correctly identified this is Christian Benteke. They have all played for Aston Villa, or the two that you've seen so far have all played for Aston Villa. They haven't all, though, unfortunately. Holofab has suggested that they've all played for Genk, as has Brazilian Fury and DM Bassist, as has Coritiba as well. How about that? Could it be that they've all played for Genk? Now, I don't know about you, but I think that Joachim Mahler has played for Ghent. I think that Wilfred Ndidi has played for Ghent. And more importantly, Genk used to be known as FC Winterslag, which means that these guys are all Winterslags. Well done. Well done. The first person to get it, that was Holofab. Fantastic 3 points your way, sire. Well done. I mean, yes, everyone then did kind of follow through there. Quadmo got that FM console. Quadmo asked, does anyone think they've all played for Genk? Maybe. Maybe indeed. Beautiful stuff. Unfortunately so for Brazilian Fury, DM Bassist, just pipped to the post there by Holofab. But marvellous, marvellous work. Ben Genke is what we call him. That just about works. Just about works. Beautiful stuff. What a brilliant player Ben Teke. Well, Ben Teke was a really good player for Villa, for Genk, and currently now in the MLS. That whole Liverpool thing we can ignore, and that Crystal Palace bit as well. To be fair, right. Let's head on back in. We're just gonna crack on, get on over to we'll instant result through the friendly. Just going to make sure that our starting 11 stay fit and in condition as we then play our next game, a nice easy away game against Ajax. A nice easy away game. We're talking about the youth academy. It's doing all right so far. One player from this year's intake was worth it. There we go. Stavitsky's out for just a few days. He'll be fine. So Hung Min says that the first two were all players that had scored against Arsenal. Indeed. Hung Min is happy that Genka mentioned. I mean, it's a shame. I'm not sure if RJ is still around. We finally had a Belgian round for him. Winterslags. It's a great name, isn't it? I wish they still called themselves FC Winterslag. Be amazing. Winter is coming brings a whole new meaning. Absolutely, FM console. What's a winter slag? A winter slag is just what they used to... I don't know what it is. I guess that might be an area in Belgium. Maybe a... there we go. Holofab says it's a part of Genk. So I'm guessing that by that you mean it's like a region of Genk. That's quite cool. I'd happily live in winter slag. So Mela is here and DD too. Quality players. Quality players. Bit of MLS stand-up, exactly. So is a slag a thing in English? It depends, Lookmar. What does slag mean to you in what does slag mean to you? Because slag has at least two different meanings in English. One of them is perfectly fine and reasonable and nothing to write home about. The other one would be very appropriate in our talk about MILFs, DILFs and GILFs. Slag off someone. Okay, it's actually got three meanings. Yeah, so to slag off someone is to say mean things about someone, generally speaking, behind their back. Slag is also a term for somebody that generally someone female who tends to be quite promiscuous, I think would be a polite way of saying it. And it's also a it's deposits of like smelting ores. That's the term that probably doesn't get used much anymore. There we go, exactly. Oh, there we go. Crudmo found with like a proper definition in there as well. So the general term slag may be a byproduct or co-product of smelting ores and recycled metals, depending on the type of material being produced. So that's the more proper definition of slag that no one uses or talks about. I'm quite proud of myself for getting that kind of right as well. Right, Snab can come onto the bench. These two are still quite a way away. Let's I assume that he'll be smart enough to bring players off the bench that we'd like to keep involved. So let's get Sutari on. Let's get Karkinen on for Yakub. Yeah, Karkinen on for Yakub. The rest of these bench players aren't really that important. We'll just sim through and hope that we don't get an injury. If we get what would be the worst player to get injured potentially here? Looks like we're okay. Or if there was, yeah, we're absolutely fine. Nothing to worry about. And now we can head on over into the game against Ajax in Amsterdam. Look, we've already won a game in Holland this year, Netherlands this year. I apologise. We'll be fine. So look, Mar. So it's talking trash about someone or a promiscuous woman in the winter. Indeed. So I guess winter slag. If you're talking trash, that would also be in the winter. Quadmo fan assumes that's the only slag anyone would ever really want. 100%. We did say we'd consider Germany. Darmstadt are struggling. They're struggling big time in the Bundesliga, Zwei. 1 win in 12 games. But they are only 1 point off safety. Interesting. So they're happy with my performance. They do have concerns about our ability to guide teams away from relegation. What do you mean? We put ourselves in a relegation fight in the second season and steered ourselves clear. Absolutely fine. Like that does feel like the kind of, where is Darmstadt? Where is Darmstadt geographically in Germany? It's kind of west, like midwest. It's quite away from Finland. I feel like North Germany feels more logical potentially, but that's probably unnecessary there. So what we are saying. Hollyfab wants to know their prediction. They are predicted to finish third. They are predicted to be a good team. Nah, you don't want to go to Darmstadt. Believe you me, fair enough. Poll time could be a fair shout. Quadmo reckons we can do better. So can you stay at Mariehamn until the end of the season? Well, Quadmo fan, we're already at the end of the season. That's the big issue there, is like the Champions League runs on a completely different timetable to the Finnish league. So we're at the end of the season currently. So they're a good team. Before I pop it out to poll though, let's have a look at what we can see about the team. We can see they're currently playing in a 4-3-3. We essentially play a kind of 4-4-5-1. So that's not necessarily too far. Oh. Look at that man's hair. That is amazing. The way that it parts in the middle. Oh, I'm a big fan of Max Wendt, the 5'11" goalkeeper. That is quite a hairdo. Right, so in goal, properly, they have a young goalkeeper on loan, Max Schmidt. He's been a little bit rubbish. Alexander Brunst has played as well. He's been a bit rubbish. So we can see some issues there right off the bat. Wait a second. So they've got, how many games have they played? They have played 12 league games and I assume some cup games as well. And it doesn't look like they've got much in the way of centre-backs. Well, they have loads of centre-backs. Tyrone Dua has only played 400 minutes. Can't tackle. Tarek Buckman has played 261 minutes. Can tackle, can header. Looks like he's quite good, to be fair, but not enough time to properly judge. Tristan Top Rasmussen has played 280 minutes. He can tackle, can't head, but again, not enough time. And Benedict Gimber, who... So it looks like they haven't really had a settled defence to start off. His tackling's good, or his tackling and his heading's okay. Kind of good, generally all round in that regards, doesn't progress the ball. So they've got, in Benedict Gimber, you've got a player that people have heard of, and it's actually pretty decent. Feels a bit weird. Maybe there's been injuries as to why Tarek Buchman hasn't played more, but they've lacked a settled defence. At right back, they've gone with Simon Astor. Simon Astor can win his tackles, kind of pressures, but doesn't win the ball, isn't particularly safe, doesn't create despite not being very safe. Or you've got, 6 minutes for Rashidi, we can't really judge off that. Francisco Mora on the left, slightly more attacking, but not necessarily great there. Fabian Nürnberger, right, I don't think he's playing as a fullback. We can't see without scouting. So I'm guessing he's playing more in midfield. Creative, probably from set pieces, I'd guess, based on everything else. Wins possession, kind of pressures. Nürnberger's a pretty decent player. Very specialist, though. So look, Mo, I'd have to practice your pronunciation of German names if I was to switch teams. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I should sign the contract just for the hair. That's a fair shout. I like Coritiba calling it Twin Peaks. Absolutely. So other midfielders that have played. Lucas Fröder. Can't tackle. Doesn't look to be particularly great. Massimo's probably been playing as on the right wing from the looks of things. Andreas Müller has definitely been playing deeper. That's more what I'd like to see from a defensive midfielder. Wins possession, keeps it safe, progresses it kind of a reasonable amount. I like Andreas Müller. Shabani maybe is the more creative option there. And Marvin Mellum, a player that generally grades out okay on some of the Moneyball stuff that we've done in the past with the Moneyball Clinic. I'm guessing that either his attacking output is poor or he's been playing a little bit deeper. Might be okay. Elias Sard. He's a dribbly boy. I like a dribbly boy. He's a dribbly boy who can't score, but that's okay. That's okay. They've got Nestoria Akunda. Interesting. And Nestoria Akunda's a bit shit. That might be why he's at Darmstadt. Not as dribbly as you would have expected. Not particularly a goal threat. Interesting. And then Oscar Wilhelmsen appears to be the main striker, and he underperforms his XG. So, look, we expect the player's performance to be bad. One, they've not played many games this season. Two, they've only won one game. So, I think there's a lot of pieces that we could work with. I think we've got some dribbly boys. We've got some pivot players that are quite useful there. What we're going to do is I'm going to pop out a poll for it. That poll is going to run whilst I attend the interview. So there's no harm in doing the interview, seeing what they have to say, what maybe more information we can get during it. But then the poll will count. So let's go there. Right, Darmstadt. Yes, no, nice, easy. I expect it'll take me a few minutes to get through it all. So there's a poll. Let's see how many of you exactly vote no. I will be surprised if it's not a 100% no. It's very, very difficult to move away from what we've built with Mariehamn, the players we love. Right, Edward Diopaca. So you have some reservations regarding the fact I've never managed in this country. Can you explain why that shouldn't be an issue? So that sounds really arrogant. This is the first opportunity. That seems fair. Don't think it matters. I'll go with ask for chance. I've only managed one team throughout your entire career. Is this a good or bad thing? Talk about loyalty. Not really there. Not had the longest career. I've dedicated more time, passion and emotion to my job than I dare to remember. I think most people would agree that I've done good work there. I would think such enlightened individuals as yourselves would be able to understand the circumstances particularly to my career and avoid shallow questions like that. That's an interesting response. So Knight of Knee, as Quez says, the poll will be on Twitch. I don't believe, or I haven't been able to see a function to allow me to run polls on YouTube. I do apologise there. But if you want to pop it in chat, anyone over on YouTube, pop in chat where you would like your vote to go, and I will add that to the tally. Right, let's go for the nonsense about time, passion and emotion. Why do I want to move on? Time to take the next step. I think that makes sense. Taking them as far as I can. I think we could take them further. Yeah, next step. Are we willing to assure us that you do a better job of meeting expectations than your potential predecessor did? What a dumb question. What a very, very dumb question. No, I thought I'd come in and I'd be shit. Is that what you want? I want me to say, yes, I promise I will be better than the last manager. Are you comfortable managing a team in considerable financial trouble? Or anything but the football? I consider myself well versed. Yes, we spend money and hope that that competitions sort us out. I'm on no illusions about the scale of the task. It'll be hard, but it's a challenge I'm up for. Would you be able to take charge straight away? I'm ready as soon as you need me. Are we happy to work with Benjamin Webber? Benjamin Webber, been there for a few years. Before that, he was at Chelsea, Paris Saint-Germain. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm happy to work with him. What sort of budget are you anticipating needing? For staffing, could we maybe bring Sammy Huppier with us? Possibly. So let's see. Interesting. The poll is 8 yeses, 4 nos. So Knight of Knee would be a yes. So that's 9 yeses to 4 nos. Interesting. Right, so we need to work within the wage budget. 1-year contracts for players over 33. Become an established Bundesliga's vice side. Work towards promotion. Get promotion within 3 seasons. Do we make some bold claim? Yeah, let's make a bold claim. Oh, I wanted to add it there. Can we? Yeah, we can. 28, 29. Right, so can we remove automatic promotion here? And then in 28, 29, we're going to say that we can get promoted in 2 years. Let's be bold. Let's be bold. I think we could expect us to avoid relegation. I think that's fair. We're midway through the season. Transfer budget of €4 million. That is like crazy rich to me. Absolutely. Do I say I could work with smaller? I could work with smaller. Thank you, Bright-Eyed Plate. I think the proposed transfer budget is realistic. Yeah, let's see that. A wage budget of, like, telling me what the wage budget is without me knowing how much you're spending on players is completely pointless. Do we have any requests? None of these I think would be realistic for us to make. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes. Like, time to learn some German. Exactly. Exactly. Outfarby is right. The Germans took over the chat a while ago, so it does make sense that you've all voted yes. Can you make a separate save just so you can see how far you can go in the Champions League with Mariehamn if you do move to Germany? I mean, I'm pretty certain. I don't see why I couldn't. I'm reasonably certain that how far we can go is getting knocked out in the group stage. We have got 700,000 for that draw, which is marvellous. So where's the poll? Sorry, yeah, we've got that. It's a done deal. This is as rigged as a US presidential election, allegedly. Rigged elections for... I mean, sometimes, like, look, we know the age of one another roughly in this stream. We know that there are some older gentlemen in this stream. You know, to some extent that we might be called DILFs, or DWILFs, daddies. No, so DILFs, daddies. I would not like DILFs. Nonetheless, I mean, certainly at our age, sometimes you need a little bit of rigging to help with your election. It's just the passing of time. The finances bit is a little bit worrying, but at the same time, that's kind of, you know, that's the point of what we do, isn't it? Really, a little bit is working around constraints and hopefully finding gems here and there. Thought we were talking about Bush and Lewinsky for a second with those rigged directions. Exactly. Heston, welcome back. Yes, so we aren't actively looking for jobs, but if we get offered interviews in Germany or the Nordic countries, we are going to head into the interviews or at least consider them. Manager of the season, that makes sense. Congratulate Enquist for being defender of the season. Daniel Enquist, defender of the season. Look at this man. I'm considering that whether he might even continue to make the starting lineup. He wins 89% of his tackles, 79% of his headers. And the man can do jack shit according to his attributes. Look at that man. Right, so the one good thing I would like to point out is if we do move on, it also means we can potentially reveal the attributes of our team as well, which I think would be quite interesting to see. I mean, the fact that we're in the Champions League, I really do want to know, because we're not going to be bringing players with us, almost certainly. R2D2's out for a couple of days, who probably should be okay for the bench against Ajax. The M base is picked, yes, and now you're second guessing yourself. Well, there was plenty of people who guessed, who went yes, so there's nothing wrong with that, to be fair. Right, Harto. We've got the job, lads. We have got the job. They want to know about backroom staff changes, so there we go. Well, that's something, isn't it? Right, Crudmo's out because he's off to play football in the cold. Have a lovely evening, Crudmo. Right, Lukmar wasn't too bothered either way, so abstained, which is fair enough. Maybe finish the Hammies as a YouTube vid to see how far you can take them. I think absolutely. If we will at least see what the end of the Champions League campaign was, because it's probably only going to be a few games. So most important German lesson you'll need to deal with the German press staff and players. Das geht dich einen Furchten kerichten. I'll take your word for it. Is this when he does the ad read for Blue Chew? We'll see what it is. No shame in a little Cialis. Exactly, Winter Soldier. Exactly. Welcome in, by the way. I do apologise for not saying hello earlier. I hope you're doing well. Right, Zamolds is in. Welcome in, my dude. I hope you're doing well. Enquist is indeed proof. Right, so Tosinad Adarabayo scored. Nice. Chelsea. Who were Chelsea even playing? I should know. I know I should know. That was Rapid. Cool. I think we're doing it. Let's see. Right, people do want to come with us. That's great. We can't bring the director of football with us, so that's not an issue. We can't bring any of our coaches with us. So it looks... Oh, no, we can. It's up the top there. Coaching staff. Has Sami Hyypiä could come with us. He's delighted to be joining person number 2 at Darmstadt due to his admiration for person number 2. So I don't want to bring Sherland with us. Like, I don't know where any of these guys are any good, but Sherland was at Mariehamn before we joined. He's kind of a legend of the club. It kind of makes sense that I'd like to keep Sherland at Mariehamn if possible. No opinion really on Johan Carlson. I know nothing about these coaches, but Sami Hyypiä was a person that was hired, granted by our director of football whilst I was here. He is a Finnish legend and has experience in Germany, so I think it makes sense for us to bring Sami Hyypiä along. I don't think we need anyone else. Like, we didn't hire any of these people. No reason to change anything there. We've got an assistant manager. They've just got one coach, Uwe Gospodarek. One head of youth development. So they've got Darmstadt coaching staff 1 out of 9. Darmstadt coaching staff 5 out of 9. Sure. We'll go with that. I don't see any reason to make any other changes there. So it'd be one person who wouldn't cost any compensation. So that's all right. So why aren't we person number 1? Now, in all fairness, I think that makes sense from a programming sense, right? So Sami Hyypiä is person number 1 in that situation. Because that's the subject that they're talking about. We become relative to that. Marston's going to be injured. The finger is out for the rest of the Champions League campaign. Do we get to play the Ajax game? That's going to be the big question. That is going to be the big question. So I guess it's the question of the goal of the save, to slowly build one club, or the manager rising to the top. So Heston, ultimately there is no goal to the save. It's we see where the narrative takes us. What feels right in the moment. So hate to see you, but love seeing you leave. Like, it's hate to see, but love seeing you leave. Like, it's one of those things. It kind of just feels like it would make sense. They would like to offer me a new deal. We can certainly bounce between the. They're not going to. So we would appreciate it if you're willing to reconsider joining another club and stay here instead. We'd be willing to discuss making it worth your while. I'm just going to say no. I don't want to escalate. I want to say, look, let me see what's going on, and we'll go with that. It's not that I'm keen to leave. Be willing to increase our transfer budget. Our transfer budget is fine. Dan, you're a lovely man. You're a lovely man, Dan Mikkola. It's not about what the club has offered or what you've done. You are wonderful and lovely. And I'm very sad to be potentially out the door. So funny enough, your star signing in your Messabate just for fun this season I'll have a look at that probably after the stream. So is white chocolate? DM Basis is in there straight away. There is no chocolate in white chocolate, but white chocolate's quite tasty. I understand him not taking it well. So look, I was going to see what the wage offered was. That's massive. We're currently paid €1,100 per week. They're offering us 9 times more. We're not turning that down. They've agreed with us on the. We have set a rod for ourselves, right? We've said automatic promotion by the end of the second season. We're currently in the relegation zone. Let's see there. 9.5k is great. Relegation wage drop. Promotion wage rise. I feel like if you're going to give me a wage drop there, they should match. Push that up to 10k. We've an order of magnitude. We have increased our wage. Like, there we go. Oh no. Right. Yes, forgot to save. So I will have to play the Champions League game against PSG again off stream to see how we would get on. So I imagine that amazing draw won't happen in the alternative world that we're doing. But yeah, there we go. We are now about to be unveiled as Darmstadt manager, I assume. There we go. In a move which is sure to spark plenty of heated debate, Mika Awatalo has left IFK Mariehamn to join Darmstadt 98. Awatalo lifted the Veikkausliga with IFK Mariehamn in October and will now be afforded the chance to enhance his reputation by bringing success to his new club. Awatalo will face pressure to bring immediate success to Merkstadion and Bollenfolter, having stepped up from his previous standing to take sole charge, and will need to hit the ground running if he is to win over those who believe his appointment is a questionable decision. Mauro Lustrinelli was considered to be the favourite for the job, particularly after he was spotted attending an interview with the club, but they ultimately preferred a different candidate. IFK Mariehamn will now be looking for a new manager. Mika Awatalo has brought Sami Hupia to Darmstadt 98 with him from IFK Mariehamn to join his backroom team. Darmstadt 98 have been disappointing in the Bundesliga's vie so far this season and find themselves in 16th place. SV Darmstadt 98 have won 2, lost 2 and drawn 1 of their last 5 matches. So any fun facts about Darmstadt? Does anyone have, yes, chat, any fun facts about Darmstadt? Because I don't know any off the top of me. So Heston asks, which Mariehammers are going to be brought in? I very strongly doubt we're going to bring in any of the our former players. So Darm means intestine or bowel in German. That's good. Okay, maybe we're going to sign Fortuna for the team whose name means intestine or bowel. So it's Bowel City. Ollie, welcome in. Your timing is indeed incredible, I suppose, in many respects. So they have won lower divisions. No major competitions in Darmstadt's stats history. Got a 17,800 capacity stadium, over 100 years old now. Pretty decent facilities. I think we're quite happy with that. They're favoured. We've looked at the players. That kind of makes sense. They're suggesting Gimba as a defensive midfielder, Dua and Bookman to be the defensive duo. Iwan Kunda's on loan. Schmidt, Dua, Kacic, Crossthwaite. There's the things we've agreed. Sign German players, make the most of set pieces. That's fine. And we will have months. We are in with a new team. So yes, Ollie, we having won back-to-back league titles at the beginning of the stream, I said that we would entertain offers. So we wouldn't actively look for new jobs, but if an interview offer came up in the Nordic countries or Germany, we would consider it. And there we go. It appears that Darmstadt came up with an offer very, very, very early into the stream. By my standards, we're like 3 hours in, but we've only advanced like 2 weeks in that time. And yeah, Darmstadt it is. Awatalo at the Merkstadion and Bollenfolter Arena. Works beautifully, doesn't it? SV Darmstadt 98. Well, like, it writes itself. Darmstadt is known as the city of science, according to Google. Interesting. Could we make a move for Olawale? Now that could be plausible. That could be plausible. So Hank says we've got to make a whole new victory song. The entirety of the soundboard is gone now. We have to make new victory songs, new player jingles, new player portraits. There is a lot of change coming up this. So, in fact, as Adam says, fun fact, Musterman is going to be spending hours after the stream making faces. I expect it will probably be a very gradual thing, maybe 1 or 2 by Wednesday if we're lucky. But I've also got a Moneyball Clinic video to record and edit. So, yeah, it's going to be fun. They used to be the Bundesliga a few seasons ago, indeed. Over 100 years old, like half the chat. Absolutely, Hank. Went straight back down, if I remember correctly. I believe so. Did they maybe survive one season? Yes, they did survive one season. So they came up, finished 10th, then got relegated. In fact, they came up in... So the 23-24 season was actually in game. I do apologise. But previously they came up back in 2014-15, up and then relegated. So very much a yo-yo club, and now looking to be definitely on the wrong side of that. So the European Space Operations Centre is in Darmstadt, fair enough. There's a chemical element called Darmstadtium. That's quite cool. The Quers signed 2 players to his Bundesliga 2 team from Veikkausliga with no affiliations to it. That's my bare minimum expectation for you. I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe Slaymar. Maybe Slaymar, that's his next move. What is the stadium called? Is it the Darmstadtium? That would make sense. We just need some Rammstein theme songs. Let's be honest, there is a much wider... I have a much broader knowledge of German music than I do Finnish. So, yeah, it could quite well be the case. Welcoming in, by the way, Maltin Ayug. And also, thank you very much for the hydrate, El Norby. Farby, we will pop to a minigame in a second as well for you. I haven't forgotten that there. So, in fact, let's head on over to that now. How about... We haven't done one of these since it first came into play, in fact. So why don't we have a round of top 10? And I will explain for those that haven't been here before. We've only played top 10 once before, so there's probably quite a few who haven't seen this at all. The rules are going to be really, really simple. In a moment, I will reveal the criteria, and you are looking for the top 10 players that match that criteria. Previously, the one time previously that we did it, the criteria was the most capped players for Denmark. So in chat, you fastest finger first, you would name the top 10 players, and ideally, if you've managed to guess one of them, it will then reveal. Now, some general information about spelling and what is accepted. Spelling needs to be correct, which is a bit of a bugger if you've got Kasper Schmeichel as one of the answers. However, you only need the player's surname unless there is another player with the same surname in that list. So using Kasper Schmeichel as an example with Denmark's most capped players, Peter Schmeichel and Kasper Schmeichel were in the top 10, so you'd need to write their full names, Peter Schmeichel, Kasper Schmeichel. But someone like Christian Eriksen was the only Eriksen in the list, and so just Eriksen was sufficient. You don't need to worry about case sensitivity. You can use all uppercase, all lowercase, a random mixture of the two. And you don't need to worry about accents either. So if a player has an accent in the name, if you type it with an accent, it will pick up on it. If you type it without the accents, it will still pick up on it. So yeah, that's kind of how the game works. In a second, I'm going to reveal what the criteria is, and from that moment on, it's fastest finger first. So we are looking for the players with the most appearances alongside Hernan Crespo. So in comes the guesses. Adam, straight off the top, went for Christian Vieri. Didier Drogba. Javier Zanetti is correct. The first correct answer goes to Mandarin. Buffon follows up just moments after from Consul. Adriano's been guessed. Asprilla. Perlo's been guessed. None of those were on there. Is Juan Sebastian Veron on there? He is indeed. He's in 7th. There's no Di Natale though. There's no Dzeko. Is there an Inzaghi? There's not an Inzaghi. Is there a Saviola? There isn't. Alfarbi comes in with the top answer. Dino Baggio indeed. 4th place for FM Console there with Lilian Thuram, a fine guess too. Mascherano had been guessed, perhaps a little too late there. Thuram a little bit late on Thuram. Adriano guessed again. Conte. I'm getting lost in chat. Ayala, how Fabi comes in with Cannavaro. We've got Cambiasso guest. Cambiasso isn't on there, unfortunately. Trezeguet's a fine guess. Kivu's a fine guess. Del Piero. Did Del Piero play enough? Sadly not. Was Nesta on there? He wasn't. Neither was Chiellini or Pogba. Lassisi, Milito, Batistuta's a fine guess. It's not there. I didn't see who got Stankovic. Who got Stankovic? That's a great guess. I still can't see who got Stankovic. I will have to work that out. It's how Fabi got Stankovic. Fantastic guess. Hollyfab picked up on Chiesa as well. So we've got just 2 left. It's not Zola, it's not Frey, it's not Brolin, it's not Batistuta, it's not Quaresma, not Zidane. Is it not Cafu or Etu or Inzaghi or Balotelli? I'd love it to be Balotelli. That would be fun. Is it Totti or Aymar? Maybe Schneider. Simeone's a fine guess there. Got Mutu, got Apollini has been guessed. That is a fantastic guess. Just following thereafter, Coritiba picks up on Nesta Sensini. Beautiful stuff. Just 1 name left. And I am double checking what that name is, because I need to remind myself of who's in the top 10. So it's not Milosevic. I'd love it to be Savo Milosevic as well. That would be fun. What can I tell you about the final player remaining? The 8th most appearances alongside Hernan Crespo. I can tell you that it's a fullback. A fullback whose career is most known for the 90s. Played in the Italian team at World Cup 94. Did not make later World Cups. It's indeed, dear basis, Roberto Carlos. 13 years spent at Parma. Probably, no, not even probably, is most definitely the most obscure name on this list. But I wouldn't say that they're obscure overall. Delivio's a fine guess. Fortunato, I'm not familiar with Fortunato, but Holifab has come in with the right answer. It is indeed Antonio Benorivo. Look, Margot's for Tagliatelle. We could have just gone through all the pastas. Marvellous, marvellous work there, Holifab. Coritiba got 1, that's fair. I think you guys did absolutely fantastic. Some great guesses in there. I think like Nesta Sensini was an amazing guess. I love the memories of Dejan Stankovic and Enrico Chiesa there as well. Marvellous, marvellous work. That was a hard one. That was a slightly harder one. Right, let's head on back over. Stream. There we go. So you had to dig really deep for that one. Absolutely. 2 close ones. Quite hard game. I know all of these players except Benorivo, but my mind just goes blank under pressure. It's one of those things, isn't it? Like, especially because you're trying to work out the most as well. Like you can go, okay, yes, I remember that Crespo was at Parma. Then you're like, but how long was he at Parma? Who else was there at the same time? Were they at the same time for a long enough amount of time to be on the list? And so it's a tricky game, but I think hopefully it's enjoyable. Right, so I know all these players except, I'm sorry, I read that. You have to mute you on these ones to give my brain time to think. That is understandable too. I will try and speak less in future. That is fair. FM Console just remembers Parma in Football Italia heyday. Like, there was a great romanticism about 90s Italian football that, yeah, like a lot of names where you go, oh, I remember them. Right, I will hydrate. Thank you very much, Hungerman. So Malxa, indeed, I will need to change the skin colours as well. There's a lot of admin that needs to be done now we've made this move. We'll need to properly try and assess the squad as well before we go into making tactics. We're going to just stick with avoid relegation. We're not going to expect anything major. We're going to see how it goes from there, potentially. So yeah, I also treated it like a slightly tricky question and went with players he might have played with at international level. Always thought he was a bit of a journeyman. Exactly. Italian football between 95 to 02 was probably the greatest collection of footballing talent there's ever been or will be. It's hard to argue with that, isn't it? It is very, very hard to argue with that. Just like, we were watching. I was watching Tony the other week on his the retro database, the 94, 95 one. And you're just like how stacked all the Italian teams are. Like every single player that comes up in every single team who like you have some sort of fond memory of, which is incredible. Right, we're going to. You know what? You know how the first hour we spent assessing our squad and working out what our transfer needs were and sending players off to scout? Worthwhile. Absolutely worthwhile. But that was always going to be the risk with this, wasn't it? Right, so we need to assess the squad. I have no idea how we're going to go about that right now. And we've got a break coming up in a couple of moments. So I'm going to run that break. We'll come back and we will look beyond just the stats. We'll start looking at their attributes as well and start trying to put a plan in place for what we're going to do to get this team out of trouble. That's the idea, at least. I'll see you guys in about 3 or 4 minutes. I mean, that's a fair shout, by the way, Coati. But like, obviously, I think a lot of people's fond memories will especially come from that time where you had more time to kind of watch and follow football, especially when you're growing up. I swear that my opinions of some of those players from the 90s would be very different if I was, say, 10 years older at the time. I might have still had the same amount of time, but I'd probably have a more critical eye whilst watching football. Maybe it would turn out that like little Alan Wright wasn't the world's greatest left back and everyone else was wrong. And that actually was just pretty mediocre. But in terms of shouts for that AC Milan team of 2005 being the greatest team of all time, it was incredibly stacked. Absolutely damn racist. Like, just every player incredible. Right, let's have a look at the score. So we had a look at the performance that we could. We've kind of identified that defence looks like it's a bit of a problem. We have some dribbly boys on the wing. We have a striker who's kind of been a little bit underwhelming, but he is tall, and that counts for something. We are going to look at attributes now, though, mainly. Do I still have attribute view here? No, I don't. That was for something else. So this is a goalkeeper who's pretty solid across the board, isn't good at rushing out, which isn't great for a sweeper keeper. Should be my main concern there, but no glaring concerns otherwise. Back. Alexander Brunst is better at rushing out, worse in terms of composure, anticipation. Kicking's also a little bit of a concern. Like, I think it kind of makes sense that Schmidt appears to be the preferred one. I'll try and click that on each time so that you've got a reminder of the key for the attributes. Like, if we look to build out from the back, composure is kind of a concern, technique, first touch passing. But he is good at rushing out, and so if we end up doing something with a slightly higher line, there's nothing otherwise really greatly to separate the two. And then Max went. Look at that hair. That hair is sensational. He's got really good agility, but he's shit. He's very, very shit. So did I say we're going to look at the actual attributes of your Mariehamn players? Shall we do that now then? Do you want to? Okay, shall we do that now instead first? Let's pop that in. Okay, and I'll do that as a quick poll. We'll just run that for like a minute or so. Look at Mariehamn attribute. Obviously, what happens is any player that we look at that came from Mariehamn that had attributes shown. I'll run it for 2 minutes. We'll give it a little bit longer. Those of you on YouTube, if you just say yes or no, that will be sufficient. So the question is, do we look right now at the attributes of our former players at Mariehamn? Yes, if you want to see them. No, if you don't. So we're going to run that as a poll, and we can then see through. So yeah, that'd be a nice goodbye to the legends. What I will say is, if we see the attributes of any of those players, we definitely cannot sign them at any point further forward. I don't think we're going to. So Adam is saying no for Slaymar. I was going to consider looking at attributes of previous players as well. Do we want to say no for Olawale as well, in case he might be a consideration to bring in? So Night of Knee's gone for a yes there. That's another yes to add to it. We're at 6-2 to yes. Sorry, we're at 7-2 to yes. So Adam agrees. Don't look at Olawale as well as don't look at Slaymar. Beautiful stuff. So I did, whilst the break was going on, I did save this. So that's good there, and we can then just go back to the one that we started up the evening on, which we call. You don't want us to look at Shambosh in case we sign him again. I'm absolutely fine with that. I mean, I really should have looked at Shambosh at some point, shouldn't I? You would have thought that having now had him in 2 different saves, I should probably know whether he's actually any good or not. I'm still not sure if he's, like, he did some good stuff for AC Moneyball. He did some good stuff for Mariehamn, just didn't fit our future style. But the team was worse with him in it. And that's confusing. That's just very, very confusing. But we do have... So what we're going to do is, when we look through the attributes of these players, is we're probably going to try and fit it in as much as possible to the general tactical approach that we use. So we're looking at big boys up front, dribbly boys out wide, kind of very transitional. So we'll try and view it through that lens. We have the results. The results are 8-2 to yes, so let's head on over. Right. Yes, I'll just go to the default skin. That will work absolutely fine, or should work absolutely fine. So we're going to have a little bit of loading time whilst that goes on. So Knight of Knee says, keep the ones you find interesting a mystery, then only reveal those you don't hire later. That seems fair. Now, I think that like the majority of the players almost all of the players that are currently at the squad, they're maybe someone like Lundberg, Reitinen, I think in particular have opportunities at a higher level. Maybe Cometio as well. But I don't think we're going to look to bring them with us. I mean, like Germany has such a good reputation in terms of developing defenders. I can't imagine that we're going to need to dip into the well for players like Cometio or Reitinen. So let's see there. So Philip Dortmund also came in with a yes. That actually makes it 9-2. We're on that quest right now. So here is the squad. Oh, this is going to be weird. This is going to be weird. Oscar Snore, our starting goalkeeper. Oh, he's good. No wonder he made a difference. He is very good. So I knew that his decisions were a little bit below, which is fine, at 10. Good reflexes, good rushing out. He's kind of really rounded. The only weakness there is his first touch and his kicking. So that's that. We've got work rate, isn't really an issue. Yeah, it's like got everything in the areas that you need. He's got good agility, good jumping reach. It makes sense why Oscar Snore was such a transformational goalkeeper for us. I like Oscar Snore. I also like the fact that we've got the face pack in the default skin, isn't it? So it's such a weird thing to look at. So when was the last time that I played with the default skin? So the last time I properly played the game genuinely properly would have been FM24. It would have been during the early access period, because when it comes to, much like I've said with FM25 and getting used to the interface, before I even consider updating the FM23 skin into FM24, I want to learn what has changed. But that was only like a test save anyway, so I only probably played like maybe 10-20 games. Last time I'd done a proper save all the way through with the default skin, we're probably talking 5 or 6 years ago. Right, Artie Marty, he's okay. Lacks agility, didn't seem to be too much of an issue. Real big weaknesses up here: command of area, communication, first touch, handling. Passing's not great at rushing out, but he does have good reflexes. Solid. Probably more what I would have expected Snore would be like, and I expected Martinen to be worse, so that's okay. So Fez says it's interesting, maybe you could go through Mariehamn's transfer history to see what deals you made and look at previous players. That is certainly the plan, Krez. Well, we're not just going to look at the current squad, but we're going to look through and see the previous players. Probably not Olawale, because there might be a chance that because Olawale's already moved to like Netherlands. Like, he's made a decent move. That maybe we look at reuniting with him at some point. So he'll be the only player we don't look at, I believe. Pardon me again. Right, Patrick Reitinen. Like, he can tackle, he can mark, he can head. 14 jumping reach probably certainly helps. Great determination, 15 determination, but yeah, he's a bit... I thought Reitinen would be better. Genuinely thought Whiteman would be better. A little underwhelmed there, which is good. It means that that's a player that I probably wouldn't have ever put as much faith in. Like, he's probably would have been a starter regardless for us, but yeah, we have him as a star player, and maybe that's being a bit kind to him. Kimecho isn't that different, to be fair. Kimecho's better at passing, much better jumping reach. But yeah, they're solid defenders. Nothing necessarily particularly special. I suppose they've got, like, they don't stand out in any respect, right? So all these players are players that have been really, really solid in the areas that matter, without being exceptional in any specific area. But they're all towards the lower end of that good. So if that good range is 11 to 15, a lot of the main stats are all towards that lower end of that range. Kuitinen's the backup, and he looks like a backup. Okay, so I mean, yeah, that's probably, like, I mean, I'd love to know what you guys think as we look through these players. If there are players that you're like, yes, that looks exactly like what I thought he would, or no, that isn't what I was expecting at all. Luca Kuitinen is the first one I've looked and I've gone, that's kind of what I expected from the outfield players anyway. You know, I expect him to be on the lower end. He's kind of, the things that he had below 11 aren't very far behind 11, which is why he's kind of been pretty decent across the board. His below average pace wasn't an issue, like, because it's not that far off. Great jumping reach. Yeah, that's kind of what I expected. Midham exactly. Holmberg as a right back, so Savalainen at right back. He's a bit shit. Probably about right there. Again, I knew that these things were below 11. Positioning is awful. Positioning 6. I'm amazed that he's been as solid as he has been. That work rate, that teamwork is sensational. Absolutely. Thank you, Brazilian. I will hydrate. I will mute the mic as I open the can. And for context, these players got a 2-2 draw against PSG. Exactly. It's crazy. So we had Savalainen as kind of like a supporting fullback. Arguably, looking at this, he probably should have been on a more attacking role, but yeah, that seems to be kind of okay. Holmberg was the youngster. Do you know what? Okay, no, maybe not. I was going to say that I think I prefer Holmberg, even though he has worse attributes, right? So technically he's worse, doesn't offer as much going forwards, worse teamwork, worse work rate as well. I like his concentration, decisions, determination. His physical profile is pretty decent there. Aggression, anticipation, all of those things are good. For composure is an issue. He's got better positioning. Like Holmberg, I think, like he could be a decent player if he realises his potential. PSG is shitty. They are indeed. Which shows yet again that people concerned with the min-maxing or writing off players that don't have very specific attributes are overthinking things. Exactly. I would love to know, like, because there's going to be an element where certain combinations of attributes just happen to work really, really well. I've often, probably incorrectly, but I've often argued that in real life, players develop their technique and it can make them worse footballers. And I will use Gabby Agbonlahor as the example. Agbonlahor, a pacey striker who, when he broke through, was really quite effective. And part of that was because his technique was so shit, so absolutely, truly awful, that he'd never strike the ball cleanly. The ball would never go where it's meant to go. So a goalkeeper couldn't react properly. And so he'd score goals that he shouldn't have scored because the ball's gone in the wrong bloody place. And as he developed his technique and started to learn how to strike it properly, it just meant that his bad shots were now kind of where they were meant to be, but not hit cleanly anymore. And that kind of saw him dip down. So here's Daniel Enquist. You know what? Enquist, okay, this makes a lot more sense to me. A lot of 9s, 8s, 9s and 10s in key areas. So we can see that he's just about serviceable at a lower level at kind of the things that you'd expect him to do. In terms of his weakness, the only things below an 8, bravery and flair. In terms of his technical ability, again, the only thing that matters for what he was doing below an 8, none of them really. Like, he's not meant to be finishing. He doesn't need to head. He's not taking penalties. Okay, I can kind of see it now. I can kind of see it. Hollyfab just says rubbish. Awful lol. Enquist is bad. His stats are absolutely fine in the things that he needs to do at that level. Exactly. I see. I'm with DM Bassist on this one. I thought he'd be a lot worse than that. Max Larson, however, is definitely a better player. Max Larson, I think maybe, if as we were suggesting, he might get the starting gig in the next season, certainly looks like the better player from an attribute standpoint. Like that looks. Let's chalk up a win there for RDF Tactics. His scouting report on Max Larson, pretty decent. Pretty decent. Like, that is definitely a good player for this level. I think that's all our defenders. So Dahlstrom. Rider on the Storm, Sebastian Dahlstrom. Like, again, okay, so very Enquist-like. The things that he's below average for, the white attributes, they're all on the higher side. The good attributes, the yellow ones, are all on the lower side. Except determination is great. Good physical profile, good work rate, good teamwork. Like, overall, an alright kind of player. Enquist won the Best Defender award. Interesting. It's crazy, isn't it? Crazy. Attributes, woke nonsense. Indeed, Quan. Dahlstrom's solid. Dahlstrom is solid. Deanne, it's better. Maybe. Better passing. Better vision. Not as good from the work rate and teamwork point of view. The attributes that aren't good are worse than Dahlstrom's attributes that aren't good. But as an all-round player, probably does explain why his performances were arguably just a little bit higher. So yeah, I like Diane. I think again we'd probably be keen to see how he pans out his career after this. Good playmaker, to be fair. Exactly. Now I'm expecting Chukwemeka Okoriki is a player that I expect is going to be pretty bad. He's interesting. The best tackler in the team so far. Best positioning in the team so far. Best concentration. Good first touch. Like, so physically he can't cover much space, and that's kind of okay because that's why we had him as a defensive midfielder, holding and kind of sweeping up. Interesting player. I like Ikereke. Defensively quite good indeed. Oof, those physicals. If only he had 10 strength. I mean, so I feel like those physicals. I'm glad that we didn't use him as a defender other than in emergencies. But yeah, I think he's kind of okay. Just about. Is Bawa better though? Bawa is probably better. Not as good at tackling, better marking. Generally speaking, a better mental profile apart from determination. Slightly quicker, slightly stronger, better in the air, better jumping reach as well. Marginally better stamina. Yeah, kind of okay. Is he better? Hank's just like, yes, he is better. Like things like positioning and concentration, though, like I really value that with Okariki. I have no idea which one it is. But those aren't the players that we want to see. Those aren't the players we want to see. Good evening, Matt. How you doing, my man? I hope you are having a wonderful time. Let's just do a little bit of this. A little bit of admin. Go on over. Give Matt some love. Wonderful, wonderful, Matt. How was the stream yesterday? So you're just started a new network save. Internazionale versus AC Milan between him and Rowan. It's good stuff. Was there for a little bit at the top, and then went off to watch NFL. We have just moved to Darmstadt, so we're going to have a look back through our team and see how good players were. Stavitsky. It's not the Stavitskys. Yeah, that tracks, right? It's quick enough to get down the wing. Decent enough carrying the ball. Decent enough crossing. That's what we wanted him for. That's what he did remarkably well. Yeah, solid. A solid player. Pretty good indeed. Pretty good. On the other side, how does the finger... Interestingly, so the finger is better dribbling and crossing. Doesn't have the pace. That probably makes sense why he was better as the inverted winger rather than the regular winger. Finishing is just off the level. It's off the ball's good. Good determination. Really low bravery. So I'm a bit surprised by that. I'm surprised he's as slow as he is. I'm surprised he's slow as. 7 finishing scored versus PSG. I mean, even at the time, we've seen, over the last few streams, we have seen Stavitsky's finishing. It is a miracle he scored against PSG. Crazy stuff. Karkinen. Oh, okay. I'm surprised that Karkinen was better as an inverted winger off the left compared to being a shadow striker, because his like attacking and finishing stuff is pretty decent there. His passing isn't particularly great. Again, not awfully quick. Has decent acceleration. I thought that looking at that, probably should have been better as a shadow striker than he was as an inverted winger. Rockman was the other who came in. Yeah, that figures. Yeah, that really figures. He can't finish his dinner for shit. That's why he struggled, and his off the ball just wasn't good enough. That's why he struggled as a shadow striker. And why he struggled as a winger, because he can't cross. There we go. Oof indeed. Oof indeed. So Matt's had an okay stream, some huge internet connection problems, but fixed it today. A marvellous. Good start, made it to the first international break. Not many transfers, but very interesting teams to manage. It should be nice having two teams reasonably equally matched as well. The rivalry, that should be nice. Oof indeed. Yes, oof absolutely indeed with Rockman. But then he was a backup. That kind of makes sense. Snab. We got Snab on a free transfer. He didn't play much. He was one for the future. And I don't think he has much of a future. Like, maybe as a left winger. So how is Mikael Tyler doing? We're doing good. Earlier on in this stream, so we started having just won the league for the second time. It's the end of the 4th season. Back-to-back league titles. Brilliant stuff. Our very first game to play during the stream was a home game in the Champions League group stage against Paris Saint-Germain. And Paris Saint-Germain went 2-0 up just after half-time. And we somehow pulled it back to 2-2. I still don't quite know how. It was an absolute FMing for PSG, that is. But the stream's been good, and then we got offered the Darmstadt job. So we've been going for like 3.5 hours or whatever now, and we have played one game tonight. So Mandarin, I have a broken FM24 save thing. Any chance someone could help? Am I allowed to ask some questions on this? You're more than welcome to ask. Absolutely. I don't know how much people will be able to help via chat, but absolutely go ahead. 7 passing. Yeah, but he's like, so 21 isn't young, but as a player that could. So I actually thought that he would be a player who played behind the striker as a shadow striker, long term, because we've been trying to sign as many shadow strikers as possible. I don't like his bravery, composure, concentration. Yeah, I don't think he would have made it. Right, our attacking midfielders. Let's start with Byron Giro. Byron Giro was amazing in like the 4 games he played before doing his ligaments. Yeah, okay. Not great, not awful. Good determination. Not that quick. Good in the air. I think he could have been alright. 9 long shots. He did score an absolute banger for us. So, the Quez just said, considering I had a player called The Finger, did seriously no one in chat say to you that Schnab is sausage in Swedish and sometimes used as a euphemism? No one told me that at all. Oh, if I knew that. I mean, we still have time to do it. I'm not going to talk about the euphemism side, but the sausage and the finger in the same team is beautiful stuff. So we definitely got to at least mark that now. Right, Mandarin got promoted from the 4th tier in Spain as a semi-professional team. However, during the registration of the 3rd tier, one of the requirements is to have at least 10 players on full-time contracts. I cannot make the board to get us to be professional, and no player wants to sign a full-time contract. Didn't enable the FM editor, so maybe I'm just lost. There is possibly that chance. Right, DM Base has been sitting here forever trying to figure out who you remind me of, and I finally realised it's Adam Buxton. I'll take that. I'll take that very kindly, thank you. I'm trying to think of some of his dumb little songs. I can't off the top of my head, but I love Adam Buxton. Absolutely loved Adam and Joe. The stuff that he did, Adam Buxton's Bug, it's one of the greatest series of like I was going to say the last 10 years. It's probably like 15 years ago. But yeah, gotta love a little bit of Adam Buxton. Gotta love. I like that one. Thank you. Thank you. That makes me feel really good. Right. We've looked at Byron Giro. Yakub. Yakub is better than Byron Giro. Better finishing, better off the ball, better work rate, better decisions, slightly quicker, better balance as well. I can see why Yakub at this level has been really good. 15 goals in 38 games for an attacking midfielder. Pretty happy with that. So Mandarin's going to try holidaying past it. Fingers crossed for you, dude. We should have known that earlier. Can the finger touch the sausage? Only after 9 p.m. Only after 9 p.m. So Out Farby has suggested trying FMRT, but you would have to pay for it. That's a fair suggestion. Yeah, Yakub is really good. R2. So R2 is possibly the weakest of the 3 as a shadow striker. Better passing. He's got good flair, like 15 flair. Like maybe he could have, when we tried using a trequartista for a very brief spell in the first season, maybe he could have filled that role. He likes to play 1-2s, dictate tempo. R2, I don't think I would have ever stumbled upon it, not from the statistical performance we were seeing. But yeah, maybe R2D2 would have been better in a slightly more creative role. Yeah, weaker, but not bad at all. Exactly. And then it comes to the strikers. And obviously I'm going to do this in reverse order. Samu Seek, one for the future. Can jump, determined, can score and can head. Awful work rate, awful teamwork. Okay off the ball. Okay composure. For a big man, his bravery's a little bit rubbish. yeah, I can see him being long term. I could see him being effective at this level. I do wonder how he would measure up against the other two. And the next one, it's got to be our top scorer in a single season. It's got to be Oni Satari next. Ben Johnson has gone to the Bears. That's the best coach in this cycle off the board, in my opinion. Thoughts? I think it's certainly. I love the idea of pairing Ben Johnson with a young quarterback. I think that'll be really interesting. I think that I do hope that their draft strategy is going to complement. So go O-line, go receiver, really make sure that you're bulking out those key parts, and I think it can work. It all comes down to what they do in terms of coordinators. I'm not sure that the roster is good enough at the moment. They're going to need to score like 30 points a game to become competitive. I do worry that unless they really address the roster, they'll get blown out a lot, and he might be one and done. It's my initial reaction. So yeah, Satari, big boy, jumps in the air, off the ball's okay. Technically, he's a bit shit. Slightly better bravery. Yeah, like he's okay. I'm amazed he's done quite so well. Yeah. I mean, if he outscored Arvid Lundberg, and by a considerable amount this season, just what is Arvid Lundberg going to look like? So Hank says one for the bin. It's all physicals. 16 jumper, which gets all the headed goals. Big lad too, weight-wise, so that would likely help, right? Well, surely that maybe he's got a really high jumping reach, but his weight keeps him down. 14 stone 9 is quite crazy. Holidaying worked. Fantastic, Mandarin. So here's the boy. Here's the boy that matters more than any other person right now. In fact, can I do this nice and quickly?
He's the man in the box.
That is the last time we will hear Haaland in the mud. Welcome on in, Monkey Drobby. Thank you very much for the follow. I hope you're doing well. We have literally, I don't know if you're familiar with the way that I play at all. Normally we play attributeless. We've just moved clubs, so right now we're going and having a look through all the players that we never saw their attributes on, and seeing what they're like. And this was our star man, our main goal scorer for a number of years, Arvid Lundberg. Yeah, he's pretty decent. Like, quite similar to Sutari. 16 jumping reach, better off the ball, better composure, 17 determination. Like, mentally for a 21-year-old player, really, really good. That kind of figures. Now, he's got like five expected assists for a striker over the course of the season. Pretty damn good. But doesn't have particularly good passing. Doesn't have particularly good flair. Just carried essentially by the vision, and probably winning some flick-ons as well. Yeah. Okay. Lundberg, solid. Proper poacher, says Quan. Exactly. Hank reckons legit could do a job in the Bundesliga's right. Perhaps. It's a shame. It's a shame we've revealed it now. It's a shame we've revealed it. Yeah. Okay. Lundberg's okay. Lundberg is okay. I think that's all the team. I hate how the stadiums means that the sidebar goes a bit funky. Let's see where the transfers bit is. There we go. So let's see who's been and gone since our time. We won't worry about like loan players, even though Emily Honkler was cool. They're all players we've brought in. Adam Zhu, we spent last season out on loan. Good determination. I think that's pretty much all I can say. Like, marking of 2 at 21 years old. That is shocking. That is truly shocking. Adam Zhu, he would not make the grade. if I knew that. Determined to be mid. Exactly. Right. Players we let go. Leo Anderson was a bit part player in the first season. I mean, we don't really get enough information here, but actually, Leo Anderson could be quite a good midfielder. 10 tackling, 10 passing, somewhere between 8 and 11 marking. Good for 10 first touch, potentially up to about 10 on dribbling. A lot of 10s in here. A lot of 10s or 10 adjacent. He could have been our Daniel Enquist of the midfield. So Crogmo says he could never be a teacher with marking like that. Indeed. Eyes can't follow slow movement. Exactly. I think that we maybe made a mistake letting Leo Anderson leave. Granted, he's had like 3 years of development, but he looks like he could be kind of solid. Emmanuel Patou, we sold for 64,000 euros. At one point, it said that he was valued about 150,000, but no one was interested. Good passing, okay tackling and marking. He looks like a player who's develops into having quite a decent mental profile there. Just lacking in terms of composure and off the ball, but as a more defensive-minded midfielder, could certainly work. Really good stamina. Like, maybe he could have made it. Maybe he could have made it with us. I don't feel quite as bad about letting him go. 64k, I think, probably quite reasonable. Because he's kind of like, so his mental stats are defensive. His technical stats suggest that he's probably better in the more attacking game. So maybe not necessarily a great fit across the board, which I'm fine with. Jaden Reed. We have no information about Jaden Reed. Oh well. Willie Nunes. Willie Nunes still doesn't have a club. Oh, he does. He played a game for Ekenas in 2027. We could have made something. He could have made it. Good acceleration and pace. Good finishing. Good off the ball. I feel bad technique. Bad bravery. Bad work rate and teamwork. Maybe he couldn't have made it. Poor Willie. All we know about Jaden Reed is that he's a dumbass that can't speak Swedish. Indeed. Yeah, just let Willie run around aimlessly. Just let Willie off the leash. Didn't Willie get a bad injury at one point? He did. We sent him out on loan to Kokkola. Started really, really well, and then was out injured for the whole season. And that essentially curtailed any kind of development that happened thereafter. Free Willie. Nobody wants Willie. Like, Willie is completely and utterly disregarded. It's a shame. The Queer says the attributes are probably written in Finnish, so Jaden Reed can't make a proper assessment of himself. Exactly. No development after a Willie injury. Premature Willie. Absolutely. Robin Sid has retired. So no idea there. We will get to Shambost in a moment. Don't worry, Adam. Right. We're not looking at Olawale. We are looking at Dylan Shambost, a player we signed on a free transfer, then sold a year later for 195,000 euros. Interesting. He's good. He is good. 13 passing, 12 touch, good flair, good vision. Now, when we changed our system, and we needed him to be able to do more defensive work, that poor tackling, that poor positioning, bad off the ball as well, which I don't, or not off the ball that doesn't match the rest of what he does there. I swear it said that he was slower than that. So I'm surprised by his physical profile. But yeah, solid player. And perhaps we did let him go a bit too cheap. But, pardon me, didn't fit into the plans, so that's okay. So my boy, says Adam. How do you feel now you've seen your boy? He's quite shit, but good for Mariehamn. Absolutely. I mean, let's be fair. That's going to be a fair description for a lot of our players. Machado here looks okay. I'm happy. I'm very happy with our decision around Machado. Machado here looks very much like Queetonen to me, but we sold him for money and we bought Queetonen in on a free. I don't like that low bravery on a centre back. Kind of, yeah, another player who's a little bit mid. So Crudmo says, in your game, he's worth 2.7 to 5.2 million. Is that Shambost? Because yeah, when we signed him for AC Moneyball in Italy, he was worth quite a bit of money, and that's part of the reason why we were kind of excited by him, because he proved to be okay in Serie A. Not brilliant, but okay. So Adam has a confession to make. Shambost came up in his scouting in his Boa Vista save, and you ruthlessly decided there was no chance. Interesting. You purposefully derailed us, Adam. Purposely. That's all good. All good. Ajala's retired from playing, that is. So yeah, Shambost is at Columbus Crew. Yeah, so like, as we said, Shambost, like, part of the reason why we even went for it, other than Adam forcing us to, is that Holifab, if you signed him, I will unsubscribe. That is fair. Is that, yeah, we know that he's a player who's got value, and he was available on a free transfer, and he was interested in joining, which is crazy. To be clear, you'd already bullied us into signing him at that point, and you just signed another number 10 myself. Okay, I don't believe you, Adam. I don't believe you. Right, Forstrom, I can't really say, like, everything's in Rangers here. Not really. I mean, that's like just viewing him on my skin anyway. So, maybe. Who knows? Adam Larson is Willie Nunez with a little bit of work rate. Yeah, okay. He's done all right. 9 goals. 15 goals in 40 games for Grindavik. Evidently, it's Grindavik Faroe Islands? It's Iceland. My apologies. Iceland, he's found his home. Iceland is where it works out for him. Yeah. Again, not necessarily anything special. I mean, he's slower than Willie Nunez, in fact. Willie Nunez might be better. And then into the season just gone, Albin Skoglund, a player that we signed on a free transfer. No, did we sign him for money? Was he the one player we signed for money? No, Kakinen was the player we signed for money. So Skoglund was another free transfer who we managed to sell for big bucks, relatively. Okay, so he's more of a playmaker type. I think that maybe we could have benefited from playing him a little bit deeper. His positioning isn't great, concentration, but they're not bad. They're on the good size of below average, right? I feel like maybe as a creative player from deep, he could have been an option for us. I think. Yeah, no, not necessarily any regrets there. We got really good money out of him. He's a pretty good player. Like, not really, like, no weakness at this level. At this level, no weaknesses mentally. Like, nothing's below an 8. Great for Finland. Acceleration, again, the same. Tackling, long throws, free kick taking are the only things that I'd probably consider a weakness. A solid, all-round, unspectacular player. So there we go. That's a lot of players. A lot of players. We're not going to look at Slaymar. We've looked at Juhi. Oh, there's the goalkeeper, the young goalkeeper who's out on loan. One eccentricity. This man is dull. Like, nope, I will not do anything crazy ever whatsoever. Good agility. Good reflexes, rushing out. Positioning's doing well. Increased positioning, increased concentration. And he's probably very good for finish level if we compare him to, say, Martin, who did well for us. Like, yes, he could also improve jumping reach, aerial reach, command of area, all of those things. But the things I care about are reflexes, agility, positioning, concentration. Not too bad. Not too bad. He has a future. He definitely has a future. Yeah, okay. I think we can be pretty happy with how it went. There's a couple of regrets in there, a couple of misses, but by and large, I think we've done pretty well, which makes that incredible 2-2 draw against Paris Saint-Germain just crazy. The 2-0 win against Olympiacos too. Do we look? Can we see one of these players potentially? Is there? Well, I will look at one more player potentially. I want to see if we can have a baseline. So if I look at players based in Finland that I know that we've come up against, right? So someone who's a familiar name that has caused us problems potentially. None of these necessarily stand out. So maybe we won't get a full picture, but if we try maybe like L'Oreal Alamelmarki always scored against us. We can't see his attributes properly. In fact, that's just like viewing it on the skin. That doesn't help. It's trying to see if we could like benchmark our team against the others. We can, can't we? So what I've disabled the numbers and everything on here on my skin, so we can use this. So generally speaking, we were a lot taller. That's something we could have found out. A lot heavier. More caps just. But we can see that we were quite good technically, at least in terms of first touch. Good in terms of strength and teamwork. Absolutely awful when it comes to leadership. Not the greatest at passing. Below expectations there. Let's not judge our goalkeepers on the outfield players. So we prioritised. That's perfect. We wanted a sweeper keeper. We've got someone who leads the way in terms of reflexes and 1v1s. Let's have a look at our defenders. We were tall. We were tall by comparison. We were the worst in terms of tackling. The team that won the league has the worst tackling across them. We were slow as well. So there we go. Everyone who says that acceleration and pace is all that matters. We did have decent acceleration, but we won the league at Acanto the last 2 seasons and we're slow. One part of our team is slow. Midfield, good teamwork, good vision, awful stamina. You don't need to be able to run. It's all fine. And then attackers. Okay, we are above average in terms of acceleration and pace up front, but we're also pretty good in terms of jumping. It is crazy that we're quite bad when it comes to heading, but pretty good when it comes to jumping. There we go. That is IFK Mariehamn. And in fact, okay, right. So we've got a break coming up in 10 minutes. So instead of heading into that break, because really what it would be quite good is to work out how to go through and assess the squad for the next episode anyway. It'd be quite nice to compartmentalise Mariehamn. So Mariehamn ends, Darmstadt begins. So let's end off the stream. Okay, let's see what's in. So 4N71574, I wonder, is it possible to play FM only with coach summary, pros and cons, not other stats, not other attributes? It is absolutely possible. So if you go, in fact, he's not even in the stream, but that's exactly what this gentleman does. So, oh, wait a second. Is it a 0 or an F? We'll find out in a second. That's the wrong person. That is the wrong person. And I can't give another shout out because I've just done one. Go check out the Cult of. He does exactly the Cult of FM does exactly the same thing as what you've described. Just uses transparency so you can't see any numbers. Bases it on scout reports and on statistics. It's absolutely fantastic. There's a number of people who play that way. It can definitely be done. And there is, more importantly, Adam has said something. Holly Fab has said something. And you know what I'm like. I do like to please when I can. I also am very sad that this will be the very last time. So, to you all, before we leave, I want to say... Fuck it, I'm just going to keep on doing this for the rest of forever. Actually, I can't keep on doing this because 1, I don't have the stamina to keep on doing this with my arms without them falling off. 2, it makes it really, really hard to do anything else because I don't have a hand free to touch the mouse. So yeah, let's stop that there. There we go. Can we believe it? We have come to the end of the path with IFK Mariehamn, but we are into a new path with Darmstadt. It's a new challenge. That means new favourite players, new stupid songs. New absolute nonsense, which should be good. Maybe we can find a way to turn the terms Maria he, Maria who, Maria ho, Maria ha ha into something that fits in with Darmstadt. Who knows? But yeah, we'll be back on that on Wednesday. Tomorrow evening, starting at 5 p.m. GMT, going to be doing a watch along for the Aston Villa Monaco game. And then after we do the watch along, we're going to be playing a little bit of a cooperative game that's controlled through chat on Twitch. So I'd love to see you guys there if you can make it. But yeah, we'll be back on Wednesday with Darmstadt 98. Crazy, isn't it? And we'll do the same thing that I normally do. So on YouTube,